Welcome to Porcelain Peak, a strange and scary podcast dissecting all things horror and sci-fi. Here are your hosts, or what's left of them, Tone, John, and Anthony. Enjoy the trivia while you can.
So I said, send dudes. She thought I said, send nudes. And I was like, no, I'm being attacked. I need reinforcements.
I need 8 burly men.
Yeah.
And a bungee cord. Well, welcome back to season 4 of Porcelain Peak. We are still in Creature Camp.
Now that I've gone real camping, I'm over it. I think we should only do 1 more, 2 at the most of these Creature Camp episodes.
I'm on board with that, yeah. Let's do 2 more and call it a day. All right, so this week for Creature Camp, we are talking about some news. I think I got some Black Mirror news, and you got some more news.
Ooh, yeah, I also have the same Black Mirror news. Wow. So we'll do it together. We'll alternate words. We'll make it really annoying.
Whoa. This week on Netflix. Anyway, then we're going to play trivia. John's coming off a win. Nice job. And then for our main discussion, we're talking about Them, the 1954 Ant movie. Not to be confused with the French movie Them, right?
Yeah.
And then the TV show on Amazon Prime, also called Them.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about Arachnophobia.
Hey, it's behind you now.
It
you
is.
never have to watch it again if you don't want to.
Yeah, it's behind you. And for our main discussion, we're talking about 2 things. One of them is Stranger Things, and the Stranger Thing is Thor: Love and Thunder.
We're talking about 2 things. Don't touch my Percocets.
And do you have any fucking Percocets? All right, so you guys ready to get started?
Yeah, let's chop
do
it
this
up.
damn thing.
Let's go.
Why don't you take an axe and chop it open?
All right, chopping that talk. John, Anthony, how are you guys? It's been almost
week.
2 weeks since we've recorded.
Yeah, crazy. Like I was saying earlier, off mic, it feels like it's been like a month. And I think that we both went camping in between.
Not together, though.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Next time.
The only camp we do together is the fake kind, the fictional
Yeah,
kind.
this one right here.
Yeah, when I went regular camping, I was like, where's the theme? There's no theme.
She was
You
like,
couldn't have at least done space?
She was like, do you want to go camping? You're like, are there going to be creatures?
I hope there's creatures.
But yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Excited to be back with my boys. We got a lot to talk about.
So much.
Ready to
How are
get
you?
this shit off my brain.
I'm very excited. I'm starting my
Period.
vacation.
Congratulations.
Yes, yeah. It finally happened. I'm finally a real woman. I mean, I'm out here in the lesbian threes, got the grippers out on display in the Berks.
We're going to get canceled or something's going to happen. Let's take a different road. Vacation, huh? 9 days?
Yeah, 9
Wow.
days. 9 days away from the old ball and chain that is work.
And
I thought you were saying that, and you had already mentioned that this was partially for your anniversary.
Yes!
So when you were like away from the
Anniversary.
old ball and chain, I was like, oh, you're leaving her for your anniversary. That's a baller move.
that's her present. She doesn't have to deal with you.
Yeah.
So bye. No. Yeah, happy anniversary. 9
Thank
years?
you. 9 years.
Crazy, dude.
Wow.
I haven't done anything for 9 years.
Crazy.
Including breathing.
How do people fall in love? Tell us, John.
Very carefully.
That's awesome. Yes, congrats, and happy you're back. Happy we're all made it home safely.
Yeah.
We're talking about some news.
Yeah, we got some shit to catch up
Yeah,
on.
so this,
faux show.
I was at my buddy's shop, and the guy that helps run the shop, he was on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what is that? He was like, oh, I just look up like random movie news and stuff. And right there on the front page was Black Mirror Season 6 is happening.
Yeah.
And
The cast
The
is
cast
pretty
is out.
crazy.
Aaron Paul's going to be in it.
Yep.
My
Zazie
favorite.
Beetz, Papu Asidu, Josh
Bitch.
Hartnett,
Yeah.
Aaron Paul, Kate Mara, Danny Ramirez, Clara Rugard, Auden Thornton, and Anjana Vasan.
Sounds like we're going to be getting 6 episodes instead of 3.
Which I'm happy about.
I guess part of the delay was that, is it Brooker or Booker? Brooker? Charlie?
Bookman.
Yeah, Charlie B. and his
Book 'em down.
and the co-creator, they were working with another company, and they had the name Black Mirror. So remember when those Death to 2020 things came out?
Uh-huh.
And they were originally supposed to be like Black Mirror Death to 2020?
Yeah.
They ended up changing that because they don't have the name, and so Netflix finally got the name back.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they left that group to start their own group
Okay.
and then made those things.
And then they joined the Blue Man Group.
Yeah, and then they joined they blew themselves.
Yeah, they blew themselves, got lost for a little while.
So now, we're getting it back, which I honestly did not think it was going to happen.
Yeah, I thought for some reason that this was because Bandersnatch came out and everybody was just weirded out by that and didn't like it. I never watched it, so I'll have to go back and check
thought it was
out.
cool.
But
Yeah.
I watched the most recent season and I liked maybe 2 of the several episodes they came out with. I think that it has been decreasing in quality as it goes, but they've taken a break now because for a little bit they were just pumping them out. Mm-hmm. And I like that. Hopefully this means we'll get some refreshing new takes and some new stories, and that cast list is great, so I'm just excited to see.
Rumors are surrounding Aaron Paul because he was in USS Callister, so people are wondering if we're getting a USS Callister sequel.
Interesting. Yeah, I have no idea, but I'm interested in it, and it'll give me another reason to not cancel Netflix for another
short
little
period.
while. Yeah.
There was one thing that I wanted to mention, and that I'm sure it's probably on your list of things, but they dropped the full-length trailer for The Munsters.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I didn't know that.
Big fucking news because the majority of people are losing their fucking minds about it because they say that it looks awful.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But isn't it kind of supposed to be?
So that's the thing that everybody is now endlessly going to debate until the movie comes out is, so you have your camp of...
Camp.
Yeah, this is campy and that's what it's supposed to be. You have your group of, okay, well, like, why does it look so cheap when it's Rob Zombie in in Universal Studios? And, like, why does it look so cheap? And there's people defending it because, like, oh, well, the old show was old and didn't have a huge budget. Mm-hmm. And then there are other people who are like, why do you think that Rob Zombie gives a fuck what you think? Rob Zombie does whatever the fuck he wants any fucking time he wants. You know, the Rob Zombie stands. And I'm kind of somewhere in the middle where I'm like, it's a trailer and it looks super colorful and stupid, and I don't give a shit about the Munsters. So at the end of the day, I'm like, everybody's getting so upset about this, and it's more so because it's Rob Zombie than it is because it's the Munsters.
Because I think half the people that are his fans didn't grow up with the Munsters, did they?
No, and like that's why
maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I mean, we're huge Twilight Zone fans, but
yes, I think there are the people who are Rob Zombie fans who are hoping for like a Rob Zombie spin on the Munsters, which is not what this looks like. I mean, it's Rob Zombie's spin, obviously, because it's him, but it's not his typical style.
Yeah,
which is great, by the way. Like, okay, good. We're all making the jokes about, you know, all of the craziness that was going to happen in this, and it looks like he's doing a cute love story between Herman Munster and, you know,
let directors flex and do their shit. You know what I mean? It's like the same thing with bands where it's like, yeah, they made another record. It's like they changed. It's like, well, yeah, people got to change.
Yeah. Whatever.
Meanwhile, the next season of this show is going to be all about sports.
Ooh,
spooky sports.
Pivot, and I will be never on another episode.
Yeah, I think it's going to be John.
I mean, we think that the market that we're in is saturated. The sports market is pretty fucking saturated. I'm not interested in trying to fucking podcast in that cesspool.
Saturated with dude sweat.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sick of hearing about the Munsters because I'm just like, just wait till the fucking movie comes out.
You guys both watch the trailer?
Yeah.
And what do you think?
It looks low budget, but I mean, I ain't mad at it. Like I said, I have no real attachment to the Munsters. I grew up watching The Addams Family, so I mean, it's similar but different.
Yeah, I think it's more just because there's always been the camp of people who are like, anything Rob Zombie does is terrible. Anything Rob Zombie does is a godsend and amazing, and I love all of this stuff. And it's just those people debating over something that is very different for Rob Zombie. So
like,
it's
meanwhile, all of his shit exists pretty firmly somewhere in the middle on one end or the other.
Yeah. Something else that I am pretty fucking sick and tired of reading about and hearing about on the internet is Scream 6 news, but we got to talk about it because this is actually pretty big and pretty exciting. Samara Weaving from The Babysitter and Ready or Not has joined the cast, which makes sense because Ready or Not did those. It's those same guys. Lots of people are very, very excited about this. I really, really like Samara Weaving. I think she's great. And Tony Revolori from Grand Budapest Hotel and Flash in the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy movies also joined the
Penis
cast.
Parker.
So this cast is just getting
Shit, I just realized I was the same kid from Grand Budapest.
yeah.
Holy
is
shit. Wow.
moving on up. Yeah, so a couple new cast members, but people are just like, I was watching, I think it was Possessed by Horror on YouTube, and she was talking about how overrated the Scream franchise is, and how like and I, of course, it was a hot takes video, so I knew I would disagree with some of the stuff.
My eyeballs almost just detached.
But she was, and that's the reaction she gets from most people. But she was saying the most annoying thing is how people won't shut the fuck up about these new movies, like constantly about, I think Samara Weaving's going to be the killer because of no reason whatsoever, but I'm going to speculate forever and ever. And, Courtney Cox was filmed in this location, so maybe they're shooting Scream over there. And it's like, no, the bitch is on vacation with her husband. Let her have a vacation. Sorry for calling you a bitch, Courtney. Love you. But,
The Broad.
yeah.
Gotta be PC.
But I'm just
Don't
like,
think that you've done anything
I
better
know.
here, sir.
I'm like, we didn't really want this movie in the first place, so having to just
Yeah.
constantly hear about it. And like, is it going to be called Scream 2 or Scream 6? I don't give a shit.
Who fucking cares?
I don't
called-
care.
Scream Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, so see, add a fucking subtitle. I don't give a shit.
I would prefer it. So moving on, The Boys, which is a show that you watch that I am in love with and I watch, is getting a spin-off show called Gen V, and it is going to be college-age soups going through college drama, but with their superpowers. So it's just going to ramp up all the sexual, gory craziness, but do it as like an Animal House college type thing. So
You know what I would like them to do is like a noir spinoff. I want to see what like
above Black
noir's
Noir.
life. Yeah.
I thought you meant like a noir style spinoff.
Either way,
But-
yeah.
Yeah, do Black Noir
Noir's
in noir in like a noir style.
because I feel like his character is so interesting, and we don't get a ton of time with him. And that's as far as I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Because when we get to, I think it's in season 2, we get to see him like wreck,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude! Let me see you."
I was always so interested in like what his character's deal was, and and so far it has not been greatly explored, but there's spinoffs, so it
Are
could
they-
happen at some point.
Have they confirmed to season 4 already?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah, they made sure to confirm that I think midway through season 3, which I think is a good tactic because a lot of people these days, I think they go into shows, especially like on Netflix and stuff, and go, should I invest my time in this not knowing if it's going to get renewed for a second season? And it's nice to be going like, midway through a season of a show you're really enjoying and saying, okay, there is going to be another season.
While you're still looking up stuff about it. And
Yeah, so I
seeing
know
news.
that if there are loose ends at the end of this season, it's not going to be the end of the show, like when I find out it got canceled in 6 months or whatever. But speaking of shows that we love, Chucky came out with a teaser for season 2, and the premiere date is October 5th, so we're going to get a nice Halloween time Chucky season, which
Yeah.
I'm super fucking stoked about.
a great way to start off season 5 of Porcelain Pete, baby.
Yeah, and the banter between the Chucky account and like Devin Sawa and stuff, like he tweeted about it, and then the Chucky account replied to him and was like, "You're still on this show?" And then he responded back and he was like, "If you had done your job properly, I wouldn't be." So yeah, I like them on Twitter.
That's rad.
Something that I don't have a huge attachment to, but a lot of people in the community are excited about, so I felt like we needed to talk about it, is there is a Terrifier sequel happening, Terrifier 2.
Oh.
The
Art the
we-
Clown.
We knew that was coming, right?
yeah,
We talked about it. I feel like before.
yeah, the Fright Fest, I think it's Fright Fest premiere is going to be in August, so and it's supposed to be dropping on Screambox, which is Bloody Disgusting's new horror service thing that they're doing. That is
Thing
going to be
now?
a Shudder
How
competitor.
much does that cost?
$4.99.
Business expense.
Yeah, so
Just
they're
go to Shudder.
yeah, so the
Scream box.
Screambox. Yeah, well, don't knock it till you tried it. Maybe awesome. Shudder's not perfect, so if this one ends
No.
up being better, I'll be like,
It's not.
okay. I'll just go to Shudder for Joe Bob. And that's it. But yeah, a lot of people love Terrifier. I thought that what was it, All Hallows Eve, where he first showed up,
Yeah.
was okay for an anthology. I thought Terrifier was just kind of dumb gore, which is fine. Some people are
Yeah.
really into that. That's why people like Halloween Kills or whatever.
I
But
mean, most people are just interested in Art the Killer as a character just because the black and white.
yeah, he's a
makeup
cool
is
looking, like
interesting.
potentially new villain who could like enter the echelon or whatever. But I just mentioned Halloween. We are getting a Halloween Ends trailer on the 20th of this month.
Happy anniversary.
Not gonna watch it.
Yeah, I probably won't check it out. I don't really need to know anything about the movie, and anything that I do see about it will probably get me unnecessarily hyped for a movie that may or may not be good. So, I don't know. Jamie Lee Curtis is in some hot water right now for some Knives Out comments she made. So, Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that whole situation.
Yeah, I tried to read into it, and I was like, I don't really understand what happened, but
Yeah, and we can go into it off mic. It's not really
Yeah.
related to this stuff. Couple more things. There is a horror comedy being written and directed by Finn Wolfhard.
I saw that.
Yeah, Finn Wolfhard and Billy Brick, who were both in Ghostbusters Afterlife. The movie is called Hell of a Summer. Don't know anything about it outside of him saying he's super excited to write and direct a horror comedy, and that's cool to see
he's
somebody.
directing.
Yeah,
Crazy, dude. Fuck
it's
yeah,
crazy
good
to see
for
these
that kid.
kids like growing up, and like I love when somebody who like him has grown up in kind of the tangentially horror genre has now been inspired to go on and make horror stuff. I'm like, yes, Finn Wolfhard, make some horror stuff. I want to see new blood
Coming of age
in the mix.
horror comedy. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Down for it. And then the last little bit of news that isn't huge news is that the new Orphan movie First Kill got a poster.
That
A coming
with,
soon
like,
poster?
Esther or whatever, the little.
Yeah, and they are actually de-aging Isabel Furman to be like 9 years old again
my God.
for the movie. I haven't seen any of the like video of it because I don't know how Uncanny Valley like shit my pants creepy it's gonna look, but maybe that'll add something to the movie. I like the original Orphan. I hadn't seen it until I think last year, but it's a pretty good little movie. I knew the twist the whole time. There's a big twist, but
Yeah.
I still found it really
Oh,
enjoyable.
Touch on your little joke,
What joke?
your light bulb joke.
Oh, how many mystery writers does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I don't know.
2. 1 to screw it in, and 1 to add the unexpected twist.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I read it somewhere. I think it was probably a tweet. I'm sorry that I'm not crediting you for the joke, but I didn't feel like searching it down on Twitter or wherever and screenshotting it, so I just shared it with him the other day. And I knew as a book nerd who knows all the books,
Is that true?
yeah, he would appreciate it.
All right. Any
Yeah.
other news?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Outside of the
Sweet.
fact that the Resident Evil Netflix show is, I misspoke. I said it was getting good early hype from early reviewers. Now that it's come out, people fucking hate it,
Really?
which doesn't surprise me because it's Resident Evil.
Yeah.
They've never been able to make a good live action Resident Evil, and I don't think they ever will. I think those games are just too weird and their own thing.
The games
to,
just
like-
capture too much of what energy needs to be captured.
Yeah.
If they're refusing to just make them shot for shot to the games, they're
It's
not going to
not.
achieve what they
I
want.
watched part of the first episode. It's yeah. I mean, the games are exploratory fear,
Yeah.
and this is just like here. There you go.
Yeah, so I probably won't check it out. Probably skip this one. Tired of putting myself through Resident Evil shit that I don't want to watch.
That's fair. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for Chop Talk. We'll go ahead and get started with trivia.
That Christmas house of wax, the fog, piranha. It's one of those, right? Right?
Trivia time, guys.
Pass the
you
trivia
ready?
on the left-hand side. Pass the trivia on the left-hand side.
We trivia.
That's not the actual song.
music, make me jump and triv.
Trivia. The trivia on the stereo.
Nice.
Sick.
Glad we could pull that off, and that's not even that was just the lead into your actual song. What are you doing? What do you got for us today?
Your trivia tune this week is
Trivia.
Is that Welcome to the Jungle?
it is Welcome to the Jungle from the popular Thor Love and Thunder.
That's where it was originated, right?
Yeah,
that was the first time
definitely.
I ever heard it.
Yeah,
made
it
it for
definitely
that
didn't come
movie.
out in the 80s at all.
Yeah, it was a total like Bohemian Rhapsody and Wayne's World moment for me. I was
Yeah.
like, damn, these guns and these roses are pretty good.
Sick, bro. Shit.
All right, cool. Well, we're gonna play Pass the Popcorn. This is all genres. I'm gonna keep score on my phone here because this is a point system, right? And if I read a year and a genre, and someone guesses it, they get 5 points. Any clue after that is 1 less point. I'll read to John. John, who are you gonna read to?
I'm going to read it, Anthony.
That's crazy. Anthony, read to me.
I just froze. You put me on the spot.
Good call. Good call.
Read back to you.
Yeah, we'll figure it out when you get there.
Yeah.
All right,
We'll
John.
improvise. Well, yes, and.
Your your first one is a 1939. Yes, and
1939.
And
musical. Nailed it, dude. See, improv.
Okay, now you're at a party and your legs are made of Jello. Go.
I think I'll take the first clue, please.
Okay, again, 1939 musical. Your quote is: Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
The Wizard of Oz.
That is correct for 4 points.
She wore a crown and came down in a bubble.
A freaking bubble, dog.
Grow up, bro.
Grow
You're gonna
up.
sit there and tell me I'm wrong?
Anthony, you have a 2004 drama.
Okay, give me the first clue, please.
God, you got such an easy week, John. God damn you.
I don't train girls.
Oh, I thought there was more. Yeah, let me see.
Is it $1 Million Baby?
It indeed $1 Million Baby.
Woo! Nice pull, dude.
Thanks.
For 4?
444.
444.
We'll see how many we get. Let's get another 4 for the old Tony here.
Tone, you got a 2001 comedy film.
All right. Give me that quote, son.
The quote is, whoever said orange was the new pink was seriously disturbed.
Pink is seriously this.
Come on.
Come on, baby.
You know that from that?
Hell yeah, brother.
Who said orange was the new pink? My dog is getting crazy.
Somebody's transforming into a werewolf in your living room.
Mean Girls.
Oh, come on, man. Is it Legally Blonde?
It is Legally Blonde.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah, if you had asked
With
for the next
Reese's
clue,
Witherspoon.
Reese's Pieces Witherspoon and Selma Blair.
I tried. I wanted to keep up with the force. All right, well, John and Anthony are tied at 4, and I got 0. Next one for you, John. 2004 Thriller.
Quote, please.
Okay, you can't seriously intend to run chemical tests on the Declaration of Independence in the back of a moving van.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
What's this movie called? Nicolas Cage steals the Declaration.
That narrows
of
it down,
Independence.
right? Nicolas Cage.
Is it National Treasure?
That is correct. Good job.
You're so lucky it wasn't the Book of Secrets. But you remember how that was a meme for years? It was kind of before memes were a thing. It was like, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah. There's a treasure map.
I wonder if at least that first movie holds up. Because I remember having a really good time with it. It's like Diet Indiana Jones, basically.
Yeah, I love adventure movies, and we just don't see enough of them.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Anyway.
True.
Hit it.
Anthony, of a 1997 drama film.
Okay. Give me the first clue, please.
This is the tagline: off the record, on the QT, and very hush hush.
What? Let me see. Oh. All right.
Give me the next clue, please. I'm not sure.
The actors are Guy Pearce and James Cromwell.
I've never seen this one, bud.
I have.
Really?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be one of those ones that I've like never heard of. Yeah, keep going. See if I can get it.
The characters are Lieutenant Ed Exley and Lynn Bracken.
Release the Bracken.
I think the story will get you there.
Okay, just give it to me then.
Police in 1950s Los Angeles discovered deep-seated corruption within the police force.
I just can't think of a movie with Guy Pearce and James Cromwell. But I can imagine James Cromwell being like a police chief or something. Like he fits that role.
I mean, it's a period piece. I mean, it's the 50s.
Yeah.
What's the name of the Halloweentown Witches? Are they the Cromwells?
Yeah, they're Cromwells, yeah.
Okay. That's where I go.
Yeah.
That's right where I go. Did you guys see the Hocus Pocus 2 trailer?
I haven't. Should have talked about that in Chop Talk.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, there you
Whoops.
go. Extra.
People are hyped. What? Can you read the story one more time for me?
Police in 1950s Los Angeles discovered deep-seated corruption within the police force.
I don't know. I'm just gonna say L.A. Confidential.
It is L.A. Confidential.
Oh, good for you.
I've seen L.A. Confidential also, so I'm kind of bummed I didn't get that earlier. But I'm glad I at least got a point.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny how similar L.A. Confidential is to L.A. Noir.
Yeah,
the game, which is
well,
I
think that's why I watched Confidential is because I liked L.A. Noir when it came out. But that's with is that Kate Beckinsale also? Not Kate Beckinsale. From Batman. What's her face? Kim Basinger.
Basinger?
Yeah.
What are your you're done with your laugh. That's so great. Rabbit!
All right, Tone, you got a 1987 action film.
All right, hit me with that quote, bud.
I am too old for this
shit.
It just says for this ... But I'm
Does
sure this
it?
next word. Yeah. I am too old for this.
Lethal Weapon.
It is indeed Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon.
See, and I'm back in the game. At least with him. Nowhere near you. John, you got a 1988 drama.
What? One more time? You said 98 drama?
88 drama.
88 drama.
I did say 98, though.
My
bad.
going to
88
Shouldn't, shouldn't have corrected yourself.
Sabotage.
The quote.
Uh-oh. 15 minutes to Judge Wapner.
The fuck you say?
Can you read that like a little more like
Like a normal human being?
legibly?
Uh-oh. 15 minutes to Judge Wapner.
Oh, just as weird when you said it that way.
Say, 15 minutes to Judge Wapner?
That's what it says.
Is Judge capitalized, like Judge Wapner as a person, or is it Judge like lowercase?
It's capitalized.
Call him Judge
So
Wap
Judge-
for short.
Yeah. J-Wap.
I hope we're talking about wet ass pussy.
I don't know what that means.
No, that's
I never encountered one of those.
that's crack. He's a whack ass prosecutor.
Yeah.
What was the category again?
Drama.
88 drama.
This is the real drama. Just watching the gears turn.
Go ahead and give me
stall.
the cast, please.
Okay, this will get you there. Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman.
Trying to make my neck long.
Yeah, dude. Oh, yeah. He could have been in that.
I mean, the only movie I can think of is not this old.
Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium.
Yeah, definitely.
I've
Oh.
seen that shit.
Because I don't think Rain Man's that old.
I can give you more clues. You got two more. Or you can rip it.
You just want me to rip it.
Why would you say that? Yeah, I mean, would I like you to get less points? Maybe. But would I?
It's not that he doesn't want you to win. It's
Is it
that he wants you to
him-
lose.
He wants him
Yeah,
to win.
it's not that I want you to lose. I just want to win.
Oh,
Don't hate the
man.
player, hate the game, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I do hate this game.
I know. Yeah.
I'm going to take a confirmation clue. One more.
You want one more? Okay. Raymond and Charlie Babbitt.
Yeah, that's Rain Man.
That is correct.
Raymond, Rain Man.
Two?
Yeah, two. I thought that came out in the 90s.
Oh, 88.
I've never seen Rain Man. I should fix that. Because didn't that movie like win awards and shit?
It's pretty good.
I didn't see the whole thing. I didn't get to the exciting part where he like gambles. I just saw him like drop the matches and go like, "Whoa!" And then I was like, I don't want to watch this.
Oh, Keanu Reeves is in the movie.
Anthony, you have a 2005 drama.
You're back in the game, dude. We can catch him.
2005 drama. Give me that first clue,
We can
please.
catch him.
You're going to go home in butcher paper, pal.
Well, never mind.
That's not as weird as Judge
Wapner?
Wapner. Yeah.
That would have got it for me because I know that he's like obsessed with watching that show. That's like one of his things in the movie.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Judge Wapner.
Yeah.
You're going home in
50
butcher
minutes to
paper.
Huh?
Can you give me the next clue, please?
Directed by Ron Howard and starring Russell Crowe.
Let me see.
Give you a hint. It's not Love and Thunder.
I feel like that's come up before.
Why don't you shut the fuck up about it?
Hey.
I have a vague idea of what this might be, but I'm not confident about it. So can you give me another clue, please?
Your characters are Gentleman Jim Braddock and Max Baer.
got this, dude. I don't even know what this fucking movie's about, to be honest with you.
I could tell you here in a second if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead. Let us know. Fill us in.
Hey, do you want the story?
Hmm?
All right. A man struggles to make it as a boxer in Depression-era New York.
Oh, you know what? I was thinking boxing.
Oh, is this Cinderella Man?
It is indeed Cinderella Man.
Oh.
Saw it years ago, so
Yeah.
it definitely would have taken me all the way to the story to get that. Didn't realize that was Ron Howard.
I think the back half of your cards are much easier.
Well, let's hope this ends up being a game and you don't just fucking leave
walk
us in the
away with it.
dust. Like a
Yes.
cleaning lady. All right, Tony, you got a 1993 comedy.
All right. Go ahead and quote me. Go ahead and quote me, please.
I'm rooting for you, bud. That's not the quote. The quote is, well, what if there is no tomorrow? There wasn't one today.
What's the year?
1993.
Oh.
1993.
I think one of these is in order.
You can't long neck if you're not certain.
I'm pretty sure though.
It's a half-hearted long neck.
Yeah.
Can we talk about it? Between the two of us?
Let's rock talk.
Yeah. I feel like it could be Groundhog's Day,
I think that's a possibility.
but that seems late to me. 93?
I thought that 88 was early for Rain Man, and I was dead wrong.
Yeah, I'm never going to ask either of you what time it is. What day
Hey,
it is.
Hey, I'll tell you. What
Hey,
it is.
yeah, the only answer you're gonna get from me is Tool time.
All right. I'll just say Groundhog Day.
It is indeed Groundhog Day.
Okay, then my long neckedness was well spent.
All right, and just like that, you're at 10, you're at 6, and I'm at 8. So we got ourselves a game here.
Yeah,
Okay.
Too bad
game,
John's got
the game
next-
is a foot.
You got some easy ass cards.
Stop trying to bring attention to your new Birkenstocks. Nobody fucking cares.
Merkenstocks. You ready? You get a 1999 horror.
Oh, slipping another easy one your way, huh?
Go ahead. And
No matter which clue I give you, you're gonna get this card.
Okay, give me the quote.
I see dead people.
The Sixth Sense.
That is correct, sir. Good job, John.
You're like, good job, John.
That's that old joke, you know. That's what that movie and Titanic have in common.
What?
I see dead people.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, then you have a 2001 action film.
Ooh, okay. I was alive then.
It's a good place to start, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have a memory. What else happened in 2001? This movie that I'm about to read to you on the next round. I was talking about this movie. Give me the first clue, please.
Your quote is, I live my life
God damn it! I knew this is what it was
a
too.
quarter mile at a time.
I was
For
gonna
those
rip it,
10 seconds or less, I'm free.
and it wasn't even my shit. And I was gonna rip it. I was like, I bet you it's fucking.
That is going to be The Fast and the
It
Furious.
is indeed The Fast and the Furious.
Good job,
Used
bud.
all the proper articles and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You did.
All right,
Say
so what
Fast
I was-
and Furious, or
What I was referencing earlier when I said what else happened in 2001 is Tone, this 2001 comedy.
All
That
right.
is now
Good
your
save.
card.
Good save.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm reading the wrong card.
Oh.
I'm supposed to be on your back cards. You have a 2005 action film.
All right.
Mixing it up on you.
I'll take it. Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
Your quote is, so what do we do, Jane? Shoot it out here, hope for the best? So I'm always asking myself, what do I do, Anthony? Shoot it out here, hope for the best?
So what do we do, Jane?
Mm-hmm.
It's an action?
2005. Action.
Go ahead and give me the cast.
I think you'll be okay here. It's Bradley Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie.
Oh, is it Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
It is indeed John and Jane Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
All right.
Good job. Good job.
Okay. Not catching John, but holding second tight. So John's got 14, Anthony's got 10, and I have 11. All right, John, you got a 2007 musical.
07 musical. Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
Oh, God damn you, dude. I can guarantee the closest shave you'll ever know.
Is that the rest of the quote?
That's it.
Oh, cool. It is Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street.
Yeah, I just want Sweeney Todd, so I'll give it to you, though.
No, you were a little bit
boys.
a little bit verbose there.
The worst boys.
The worst boys in London. With old no.
Spoiler alert.
Old
Is that the same
redacted.
guy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
redacted. We talked about this I think last week. Redacted.
What was my reaction? Is that the same guy?
You were like, I'm gonna immediately forget this.
And you have a 1978 fantasy film.
That's my MO for anything anyone tells me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to immediately forget.
gotta make room in my brain. Give me that first clue, please.
Your name is Kal-El. You are the only survivor of the planet Krypton.
Or as Marlon Brando liked to say it, the planet Krypton.
Robots, because he's from the Robots era.
From the Robots era, yeah. Is that Superman?
Superman.
For 4?
444.
All right.
All right. Think you're gonna be all right on this one. You got a 1999 comedy film,
99.
comedy that defined our generation.
99
This comedy did?
comedy movie.
Oh. I don't know. Give me the quote.
The quote is, "This one time at band camp."
Oh, American Pie.
It is American Pie.
Miss American Pie.
To the levee, and then I fucked a pie. Oh no, Eugene Levy's in that. So the better line would have been like, my dad is Eugene Levy, and I fucked a pie.
Yeah.
Last round. John, you got 18. Anthony's got 14, and I got 15. Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
You have a 1975 drama.
75 drama.
Yeah, just rip it. Just make it interesting.
You're confident in the year 1975, right?
1975. Woo-hoo. Give me the quote, please.
I must be crazy to be in a loony bin like this.
Oh.
Obviously, it's a Looney Tunes movie.
You know, I was thinking about the other day, Looney Tunes specifically, but there's like not female Looney Tunes. Like the old school, like classic ones that you know, like Sylvester's a dude, Tweety's a dude, Bugs is a dude, Elmer Fudd's a dude, Porky Pig's a dude.
That's a good
I
point.
guess we don't know what the Roadrunner is, but it seems like a dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wiley's a
gender
dude.
non-binary.
Sometimes
maybe.
disguised as another dude.
Saw a tweet the other day that was like, it's so sad that Wile E. Coyote only ever gets credit for like all of the violence and everything, and not for those beautifully realistic tunnel paintings he does on the edges of walls.
I guess we get a cat that Pepe Le Pew is always trying to sexually assault.
But he got canceled, so we can't talk
he?
about that anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, they were talking about making him like a Bitcoin bro. No, like give him
Ew.
some other hobby.
And then Granny. But really, that's it. Like, it's all...
When I was a kid, I always thought that Tweety was a girl because anytime anybody had a high-pitched voice, I thought they were a girl. Like, I thought Michael Jackson was a woman for many, many years.
I think a lot of people had that problem if you were born in the 90s.
Yeah. But anywho...
Yeah, I'm going to take a confirmation clue with the cast, please.
All right. Jack Nicholas and Louise Fletcher.
Yeah, so that's what I thought it was. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That is correct. So
One
that
Flew Over the
puts you
Cuckold's
at
Nest.
21.
Good thing you didn't bust.
So
Watch
we can't beat you?
Probably not.
No, we can't be. We can't beat him.
But
I...
you can have some fun with these questions.
we can't-
Anthony, you have a
tell me what to do.
1991 horror film.
Oh, now I get the horror film. Okay, pity film. Okay.
Pity film.
Give me the first clue, please.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
That brings back some memories. Yeah, that's going to be The Silence of the Lambs.
The Silence of the Lamb.
Speaking of funny noises, I was with Brittany earlier, your wife, and
Mrs.
in
Jig?
case you forgot, yeah. And
Just in case I forgot after 9 years
saw a
of
sticker on the back of a car that said "Tell your cat." I said, psst, 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 psst. We started cracking up.
I'm now just picturing Hannibal Lecter going,
And I thought it was
Because he wouldn't eat the cat.
That was really
You
funny.
just eat the owner.
You eat the pussy.
Hey!
You eat the poo-poo. So, Tone, you get a 2006 drama film.
Alrighty, quote me.
Your quote is, "The right stone can buy anything. Information, safety, even freedom."
I mean, at this point, I lost, right?
Yeah.
Blood Diamond.
It is Blood Diamond.
Hey!
Wow. Fucking knocked that out of the park.
How many points did Anthony get?
It's a,
4?
Yes.
that movie's a different kind of stoner film.
All right. Well, John, Anthony got 18. I got 19. And you, sir, got 21 for your 2 streak.
Yeah.
Right on, brother.
Yep. Just bringing up the caboose,
There you go.
as usual.
I
Hey, it was a
guess,
pretty tight game, though.
Yeah. I'm just happy that I got...
Legally Blonde fucked me. And I like that movie.
I don't think I've ever seen it. What was the movie that I got, like, crazy in the beginning of that round?
LA Confidential.
No, that was when I went through the whole card.
Oh.
Or something else, I guess, on the, like, weird first clue. Doesn't matter. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
Cool. That'll wrap it up for trivia. We got bonus episodes with more trivia and bonus episodes with umbrella shit.
$1 Million Baby.
$1 Million Baby. We got $1 Million Baby. If you're interested in hearing us talk about $1 Million Baby, check out Patreon, where there may or may not be an episode about $1 Million Baby.
Shocker, it's not.
It's in the horror, one way or another. We'll figure it out. Because Clint Eastwood looks like the Crypt Keeper. So
Yeah.
Think
yeah.
we'll
Look at the Crypt Keeper
It's a pass.
since
I think we
his
could get there.
early 20s.
All right. And then we're going to do some ads and shit, and we'll be right back with our main discussion.
Ads.
Unless you're on Patreon.
Ads.
Ads.
Head on over to patreon.com/porcelainpeak for hours and hours of additional content, merch, and more. For $5 a month you get access to our weekly trivia bonus episodes, where we write each other new quizzes for every episode. For $10 you get access to our monthly /Terpiece theater commentary tracks, where we crack wise over the top of movies for your enjoyment, alongside a monthly print designed by Anthony Silva. For $20 you can join our producer tier, where you will get early access to our episodes, a t-shirt every 6 months, and the ability to help us come up with ideas for future episodes. All versions of the episode are provided ad-free on Patreon. Again, that's patreon.com/porcelainpeak to help support the show.
Head on over to porcelainpeakshop.com and purchase some merch to help support the show, or purchase our Horror is for Everyone shirt to support new causes every month. This month we are donating all proceeds from this shirt to ACLU, because we believe in a person's right to the autonomy of their own fucking body. Share a picture with your merch on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook and we will give you a shout out on a future episode. Again, that's porcelainpeakshop.com to help support the show and look fly as hell in the process. Thanks to everyone for watching. Now back to Tone, John, and Anthony.
Hey, you want to see something really scary?
Welcome back, campers. It's time for your main discussion here at Creature Camp. We're talking about the 1954 movie Them, and we're pairing it with the 1990 movie Arachnophobia. So we'll go ahead and get started with Them. So, a little background real quick. This was, again, 1954, directed by Gordon Douglas.
Same year as Godzilla, which we talked about last week, which is an interesting thing to see.
I was like, okay, there's a lot of similarities in between these two.
Yeah.
Written by Ted Sherdeman and Russell S. Hughes and George Worthing Yates, who it looks like did the story. So it's based on something. We got starring James Whitmore, Edmund Gwenn, Joan Weldon, and James Arness, and that's as far as down as the cast that I care about going.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows who any of those people are.
So I think that the reason that we wanted to, because little peek behind the curtain, or if you're paying extra close attention, you'll have seen that the posts changed up. But originally, I think we were pairing this with, what was it? Either Tarantula, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another old school spider movie. But we've had them come up a bunch of times on our trivia, and we have heard about it as being a classic monster movie. Yeah. And so when you said, can we switch those out? I was like, oh, duh. Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we originally had it on our schedule, but we messed up our schedule.
Yeah.
So.
And also you have an irritation, not really a fear, but an irritation, a dislike, a hatred of ants, if you will.
Yeah, so when I was younger, my brother told me this story about this lady that had this bump on her forehead, and she cut it open, and there was ants inside her head, and it was like a
Dude, that's so weird you bring that up because I was watching the movie Jungle last night with Daniel Radcliffe.
Okay.
Based on a true story about a guy who gets lost in the Amazon jungle.
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe's great in it, does a iffy accent, but
always
he's at one point in the woods or in the jungle, and there's this big bump on his head, and he's like, oh great, it's moving. And then there's a very hardcore scene where he pries into it with tweezers and pulls out a big ass worm out of his fucking head. And I was like, no thank you, jungle. Don't want to go anywhere near you. So when Guns N' Roses said welcome to the jungle, I was like, no,
I'm not even going.
I'm not going there.
So I had that instilled in me at a young age, and then in the apartment that we lived in, we had ants in the bathtub, and so I was like, oh fuck, they're gonna burrow into my face.
Yeah.
And so since then, I don't have a fear like John does with spiders, but I dislike ants a lot.
Yeah, and I think that they're very fascinating, but anytime they're in my apartment or my house, I'm like, die immediately.
Yeah, the difference here between what happens in Arachnophobia is these are giant ants, which makes them inherently less scary, I think.
Yeah.
Between actual fucking spiders.
Because to me, like, a scarier version of ants is, even though the
Ants?
scenes, even though I'm actually more partial to Bug's Life. No,
I think the world is
the scene in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull where they get like swarmed by the ants, very Scarab style, and eaten, and they're all CG ants and stuff. But yeah, the idea of a swarm of ants devouring you is much scarier than giant because that's all they constructed, 3 giant ants that just keep, showing. You see like one ant at a time, and they always keep talking about like it could be hundreds of thousands, and I'm like, it's a 1954 movie. We're not going to see more than 1 or 2 ants on screen.
Yeah, so real quick, what this movie is about a couple of cops, and they find a girl wandering down the street, or I guess kind of a dirt road.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's going on? What are you doing? And they find all these missing people. Well, I guess they don't find missing people, but people are missing, and people are dead, and structures have been torn outward, which they are confused about. They think it's a homicidal maniac, which I thought was interesting because I don't think they had the term for serial killer yet.
Yeah.
So that was funny to see that.
Like the Zodiac and all that hadn't come around.
Yeah, and it turns out that there was nuclear fallout of some sort and made ants giant ants, and they're killing people.
Yeah, so
basic movie.
Yeah, the thing that I enjoyed about the structure of this movie is that it takes a while to get to the ants. Like, it's not just immediately like, giant ants, woo! They play it as like, they try to do kind of like a police procedural thing, and then once the scientist comes in, then it becomes like a scientific investigation, and unfortunately, the whole time you're watching it, it's giant ants, so it doesn't make the actual build-up that suspenseful, but I do like that they tried to do something a little bit different. And if you didn't know that it was giant ants, which I don't know how you wouldn't, because all the posters are giant ants with big cat eyes, but if they had kept that kind of a secret and was like, what are them, like, what's them? Because even when the little girl gets like roused from her with the smell of the chemical because they find this weird chemical also injected into a lot of the dead people, and they don't know where it's coming from, and they also are confused by the types of wounds that people have because they're like crushed in a bunch of different places. And when she gets roused from her thing, that's when she's like, them, it's the title of the movie.
Yeah,
I would have liked if we hadn't really known what it was, and then it's like, oh shit, giant ants, that's pretty fucking scary. But that being said, still enjoyed that like lead up to the reveal, because it makes the actual reveal of the ant pretty shocking when they're just wandering around in the desert, and then it just comes up over that hill, and she does the classic like,
yeah.
I think for me the build-up and the mystery, again, although we know what it is, was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah,
because I was like, oh, this is really cool.
Once
I didn't
the
know
ants
that it was
showed up,
like
I got
that.
kind of bored, but the rest of the movie I found entertaining before that. And I will say that just kind of like my quick overview thoughts of the like 50s sci-fi monster movies we've watched during this creature camp, I found this one the least compelling, which was surprising because this is one of the ones that, outside of Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which we're doing I think next week, which is an even more classic monster movie, that is why this movie was made, is because they were like, that was successful, let's do it again. I found this one like the least interesting. There were some parts that I found kind of cool, like it's impressive that they were able to make those giant ants move around and do the puppets for them.
Are those big? They constructed big.
Yeah, big, like 12-foot ants or whatever. And
I know that.
and like, but they only had 3 because it was low budget and whatever. And you mentioned that the title of this is in color, but the rest of the movie is in black and white,
which is interesting. Yeah,
this movie was originally supposed to be shot in 3D and in color. You can tell in some scenes that it was supposed to be 3D because there are scenes where they're shooting the flamethrowers directly at the camera, or things are going straight at the camera. This literally like the week before production, the studio got cold feet and went, nope, we're dropping the budget. You have to do it in black and white. And they were like, the only concession we'll make is that we'll give you a strip of color film to do the title in. So they had to nix the
That's
3D
crazy,
and nix
dude.
the color. Yeah. So they just got away with that
And it was
color
still,
thing in the beginning.
from my understanding, pretty successful. Was this your experience with this movie?
Yeah, so this is the first time I'd ever seen it, and it, like you said, it kind of tries to throw a lot of like the different like 50s sci-fi creature feature tropes all into the pot to see what sticks.
I think we made a mistake going straight from Godzilla to this because I found this to be so shallow and cheesy in comparison to something that felt as like deep and impactful as Godzilla.
Well,
and
I
they
think
came out
we've
the same
been-
year, which is what I found especially interesting.
And we'd been working our way up to Godzilla because like we'd been dabbling in different 50s style science fiction films, and a lot of them felt like they were kind of building on top of each other. Like there, we had Body Snatchers, which was kind of like a good groundwork, and then we had The Thing from Another World that kind of feels like it builds off of that concept a little bit. And then we got something like Godzilla, which feels like it's a complete departure from those types of things and has a little more to it.
Cultural sensibilities.
Exactly.
I think,
Yeah.
And it has more commentary, which is really interesting. And this doesn't feel like it has a whole lot of that. It's still a relatively interesting story, but it felt like it took all of the little like the lead up components and just said, all right, we're just gonna stack them in front of each other, and we're just gonna build through to try to find the one that feels like it ramps up well into Giant Ant.
Yeah, something where I could see, I mean, it wouldn't work really because it would just be a ton of CG, but I just found myself wishing they could show some of the things they talked about, like when they have the guy explaining like, oh, I saw a UFO that looked like an ant. I was like, I wish we could have seen the ants when they were flying. Like, I understand for budget reasons, and maybe they tried it and it looked goofy as shit, which I can totally understand, but the idea of like these giant queen ants like flying across the country and like going to different places, I liked the idea of them having to like track down where they might be laying nests, and I really like the set piece of the LA tunnels, like the river system and the tunnels, as being where the ants end up in the where they're fighting in the climax. There's a lot of like cool, interesting ideas, but none of it felt like it was being treated as, I don't know, none of it felt as, it's weird because Godzilla is obviously very fictional and it's a very fictional idea, but the parallels that it had with like the destruction of the nuclear bombs, this pretty much all takes place in the desert or in tunnels, and there's only like a few characters. It doesn't feel like it has that like big devastation that something like Godzilla has, where there's a huge impact by this thing. It's more just talk about what could happen if they don't stop them. And that's scary to think about, like, oh, we could be extinct in just a couple of years, but
it doesn't have the same value.
Yeah, it doesn't really have the same impact.
stakes.
And the stakes don't feel super high. And the ants really, the only thing that I found kind of creepy about them is I liked the sound design of them making that like chirping noise, which I was curious.
Oh, I hated that, dude.
Well, it got annoying by the end because we were hearing it so constantly, but I liked it in the beginning when you didn't quite know what it was and you could hear them like off in the distance. And then when they realize that's the sounds the ants make and they're standing there and then they start hearing them coming out from in the distance, that was scary because you hadn't seen the ants. I think really if they had Jaws this up and didn't show really any of the ants, it would have felt more like something like Tremors, where it's like we know there's something under the ground and you only like a few times kind of see glimpses of it or it coming out. It could have been handled a bit more subtly. And I also am just never a big fan of like the 50s military type dudes, and this whole movie is just like the classic American, like
the cops pull out like Uzis, dude. I was
Yeah.
like, hell yeah, man.
where it's just the strong military men. And I liked that the female character in this was a scientist, and she does try to like put her foot down about going in and exploring. I thought that
love
was really
yeah,
progressive.
she was
for the
like,
time.
I'm going with you, so suck it up or something. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was cool.
Get some. Yeah, so I mean, really, it's there's three parts to this movie. There's the first part, which is the mystery. There's the second part, which is the science and basically just exposition.
Yeah,
And
we
then
get the
there's a
whole
third part.
the nature slideshow, which would
Yeah.
become a staple of sci-fi creature features
Dino
after this.
DNA.
But yeah,
And then
just
the
like
third
this is how
part is-
ants work.
is the action, is the fighting the ants.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's fine. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to, and I think I was really excited because it is considered a classic creature feature. But after watching stuff like Godzilla and Body Snatchers, which blew me away for what they were, this kind of was disappointing for me.
Yeah, no, I felt the same way. I'm like, not a bad movie, but I would, I guess, jumping ahead to rating this out of 5.
Weird chirps.
5 weird, annoying chirping sounds. I would probably give it like a 3. I think it's just it's an average 50s creature feature.
Anything else you want to say about it before we hit the ratings?
No, it is perfectly described by what you just said. It is very average. It is a watchable film, and that's about all it really gets away with.
Do you think this could be something that would be on someone's sci-fi misses? Do you know what I mean? Like, did we do a disservice not watching it as like a creature feature? Or we think
I don't know. I mean, because I don't know if there's enough meat on the bones as far as like it having any like cultural relevance or commentary to it to add that kind of value.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, there was a nuclear bomb. It made ants big.
Yeah. Whereas Godzilla has
that's the thing is like
weight.
what has surprised me about some of these movies is like I expect them to be a very cookie cutter, like what I in my mind picture a 50s sci-fi creature feature to be, and this was that cookie cutter, exactly what I expected it to be. And I feel like I appreciated it more because we were doing creature features and I could appreciate the creature effects and that kind of thing. So I may have enjoyed it less if we had done it outside of this context. But who knows? Also, maybe if I hadn't watched it immediately after Godzilla, I might have had more fun with it.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's
we
hard
would
to
have
say.
started here, and then they got progressively better.
Yeah.
But this, for me, yeah, like you said, was pretty middling. So I'm going to give it a 3 chirps as well.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat. I think 3 is about the highest I'd be able to give this movie.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Right on. All right, let's get into the
main event.
Go ahead, John. Take her away.
It looks like fear is not a factor for you.
I survived. I thought I was going to have to watch this movie in several parts.
Yeah, he didn't, and still didn't watch it with me.
But you did narrate some of your thoughts throughout the movie, which I appreciated, getting those texts throughout, where it was basically you just like, oh God,
fuck
no,
this.
no,
Yeah.
fuck, get me out of here.
One of you would have to show it because we're using my phone for the camera right now. But I watched it all in one sitting. I watched it on the TV because my original plan was to watch it on the smallest screen possible, and to watch it and break it up in parts.
But then the spiders would be even more life-size.
And I chose to not do that.
Because you wanted to give it the respect this movie fucking deserves.
You want to hit us with background?
Yeah, sure. So, stars Jeff Daniels as Ross Jennings, Julian Sands as Dr. James Atherton, John Goodman as
From
Delbert
Smallville.
McClintock,
Oh, yeah.
Harley Jane Kozak as Molly Jennings, Stuart Pankin as Sheriff Parsons. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Brian McNamara as Chris Collins, Mark Taylor as Jerry Manley.
That's probably good.
Henry Jones as Dr. Sam Metcalf, and that's probably where we'll stop.
Yeah, and then behind the camera, we got Frank Marshall, who's still doing shit. I think he just produced Dominion.
Yeah, and he's mostly a producer. Like he's only directed like 3 or 4 projects. I think the most recent thing he directed was like a Bee Gees documentary. But he's a longtime collaborator with Spielberg, so he's produced a bunch of Spielberg stuff. And this is an Amblin production. Spielberg produced this.
Yeah,
and it was kind of Spielberg's way of going like, I would like to direct this, but I don't have the time or maybe the energy, so I'm going to give it to you as like a first time directors. And honestly, I think he did an awesome job.
Yeah. So this movie basically has 2 dueling storylines, where we have one where this group of explorers who study insects go to this weird is
Venezuela?
it like
Venezuela,
South American like jungle, into like this weird like almost like underground weird like tucked away.
They're trying
place.
to find the Morbius Bat Cave.
In
At
a
the beginning of
crevice.
Morbius.
Yeah, in a crevasse. And they get there and they find these like rare species of butterflies, which is what they were after, but they also happen to find a rare species of spider. They
That
end
are
up,
very bee-like, right?
yeah, and they end
Yeah.
up accidentally taking one home with them
Wow.
to the camp. And then
one.
Kind of reminded me of the Sumatran rat monkey from Dead Alive.
Totally.
in the camp, one of the people who's there gets bitten and he dies immediately.
And get sucked up.
Yeah, and so they
desiccated.
Send him home in
In the
coffin and
shittiest
everything.
coffin.
And then when they open it up, the spider has hitchhiked his way alongside into the United States.
He decides to get his fuck on with
Into a sleepy town.
with a house spider in this sleepy.
And they show, like, the silhouette of them. Like, I was like, lady.
How did you feel about Spiders in Love?
So I thought that shit was fucking hysterical because I love how they perfectly timed it up with Jeff Daniels, who's the main character of the story and is the other storyline, which
is the titular arachnophobe.
Yeah, he
with
is a doctor who's coming to this small town in order to take over as the doctor there, but finds out that the doctor who's currently the town doctor has refused to retire. So he's dealing with all this stuff, which is a very interesting story, and I think this is what saved the movie for me, at least making it watchable.
That's
making
why
me not
I
fucking doing this.
That's why I hyped this movie and also wanted you to not watch it in on a phone or something. Is because I'm I think that this movie is so well constructed, and I think the story is so well put together, like the way they connect everything, that I felt like that would be enough to redeem it for you. And the spider stuff is super well done. Like, it's obviously very creepy, I'm sure, for someone. I mean, I can just ask you if you found it creepy, but I'm not a person who is arachnophobic. I don't love spiders, but I find them endlessly fascinating. And even this movie gives me the heebie-jeebies because of the fact that they use a ton of real spiders.
Yeah,
and
it's fucking terrifying.
I was under the impression that it was going to be giant spiders.
Oh,
because
really?
of Eight-Legged Freaks and all the other spider
If
movies.
it were giant spiders, it would have been easier to deal with for me.
Yeah, and I think that's what we were talking about with them, where it's like if this was little ants, scary, but this, since it was real spiders, I was like, this is fucking disgusting and creepy as hell.
Well, and they wanted to, like, what I love so much about it is that it's just taking the spiders and putting them in everyday situations where you're putting your shoes on, you're having a bowl of popcorn, you're taking a shower.
Yeah, it literally
places
makes
where a
you
spider
not-
would actually show up.
It literally makes you not want to
Yeah.
fucking sit on a toilet, put your shoes on, or wear a football helmet.
Yeah. And they said that they wanted to make this, which makes sense. It's Spielberg. They wanted to emulate Jaws, where it's like these people's kind of idyllic everyday life is now suddenly violently disrupted by this creature. I think, because the fact that it's not a giant spider movie and that they were able to do all this stuff with real spiders, the species of spider that they use predominantly throughout the movie is from Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, it's the huntsman spider.
Yeah, it's not the giant huntsman, which is scary as fuck, but it's a smaller variety. They are known to be slightly social, which is very strange in the spider community. Very few spiders are social. They're mostly cannibals and just eat each other when they run into each other, which is fucking tight. So metal. And and they're completely harmless to humans, which makes them perfect for shipping in boatloads. They were shipping like 300 spiders every week to the set from Australia.
That.
Yeah, and had to go jump through a bunch of hoops to get them exported over. And once they were over here, they weren't allowed to be sent back because of quarantine issues. So it makes me curious where all of these huntsmen went after this movie.
Yeah, so then the spiders start attacking people in this town. Jeff Daniels is kind of at the center of it. They think he is killing people as this new doctor, not knowing what he's doing. And that's kind of how the story progresses, is him trying to clear his name, get new patients, and also save this town, really.
Yeah, and he's kind of up against a lot of like weird, almost Twin Peaksy level, like strange members of this town.
It does have a very like Twin Peaks kind of vibe. I think the small townness of it adds a lot.
I really thought the coach was Meatloaf.
Oh,
He looks just like him.
So
I was like, is that Bob?
There are a ton of like bit player characters that are in this film that also helped to save the experience for me. The coroner's wife is Mimi from the Drew Carey show.
Yeah. Right on,
Jeff Daniels' kid is Guy from the Mighty Ducks franchise.
Oh shit.
There was the
Jeff Daniels is Harry from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah,
he is, and I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff outside of Dumb and Dumber. And as you guys know, and I'm sure probably our listeners know, I fucking love Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
And so I always associate him as that. And seeing him in this role not only made me realize how great of an actor he is, but made me appreciate him stepping out of his kind of serious style to do Dumb and Dumber. I mean, he still has some quips in this, but nothing like that. And so I was like, holy shit, like that makes Harry so much more enjoyable for me because he really put everything he had into that
because Jim
character.
Carrey, it's like he's doing a riff on... He's just doing a dumber version of Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But, which, I mean, I love both those characters. But yeah, Jeff Daniels is like... I've seen him in some other stuff too, like, and I've liked him in serious roles, but... having him do a more toned down, charming, like family man, he fit right into like the Spielberg, Amblin like fold of the
Totally.
of the family. And I really liked his chemistry with the actress who played his wife.
I don't remember her name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Who I thought for like 2 nanoseconds at the very first shot she was in the film was Helen Hunt, and she is not.
Harley Jane Kozak playing Molly Jennings.
But the star and the scene stealer of the show is obviously Delbert, played by John Goodman, who is fucking hysterical in this
weird,
fucking
Would anybody
movie.
mind if I tear up these floors?
It reminded me of the Ratzenberger. Is it Ratzenberger character from House 2?
Yeah.
Where he just comes in. And
Yeah.
just, but yeah, at one point he's like, well, a web would indicate an
An
arachnoid
arachnoid presence.
It's like, oh yeah.
And
Dude,
him
that
just
shit
showing
had
up
me
like
dying.
dual wielding the fucking the pesticides.
Yeah,
So good.
I'm bad. or when he's talking about like, yeah, I got a misprint Miller Lite can.
You guys want to check that out?
I think your husband would like to see that.
Yeah, but so Jeff Daniels is trying to. He's an arachnophobe. His wife is kind of trying to get him to conquer his fear of spiders. Little does she know that he is definitely going to be forced to do that to protect his family and protect this town. But yeah, the spiders, we get to watch them kind of. It felt very like slasher film, like Michael Myers wandering through the town and killing people one by one.
It made it. It's like it took influence from the slashers of the 70s and 80s and turned it mashed that together with a creature feature. And I felt like that. I don't know if it's just for me, because obviously I found every instance where the spiders were on screen except for the fake ones where you could tell it was like walking around the corner and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like when what was supposed to be a bird-eating tarantula.
Yeah.
When that starts like crawling its way out of like the cat door.
Yeah.
It's like that was obviously.
You can tell it's just like somebody with
Yeah,
like
somebody
a
just stuck some
popsicle
legs
stick with
through.
some
Yeah.
spider legs
When you
on
can't
it.
see
Yeah.
the back half, you know something's going on back
Yeah.
there.
But when it was just a real spider for sure, all that shit was fucking terrifying. I had a very hard time watching the screen during those times. I got through it, but it was very terrifying. But I felt like the setup and using them more of like a slasher villain worked really well.
Yeah, and they have to kind of like they're especially scary because they can sneak into like literally any situation. And when they finally get to that reveal where he walks into the house and he sees like a couple spiders in the house and he's like, okay, I gotta get you guys out of here, and then the spiders start coming out from behind the curtains and they're fucking all over the place.
burn
I
it
was
down.
like, I couldn't even do. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you even doing?
And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, but something that the director of this movie said is that he finds that he didn't want the audience to be completely terrified and mortified, because to him that wouldn't be fun. So that's why he wanted to make this a horror comedy, was because he felt like having the breaks in between with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of levity would make it just a more enjoyable experience. And there's been a big debate going on like Twitter recently about people saying like horror comedy as a subgenre never works, which I disagree with.
I disagree
I think
with
this is
that
a perfect
wholeheartedly.
example of a horror comedy that works spectacularly because it has, and I think
It's horror front with comedy in the back, and it works well for that. I feel like some parts of Get Out function in that way. Mm-hmm. I feel like
Parts of Scream function in that way.
Oh, yeah,
and I feel
absolutely.
like the opposite also works. Comedy horror definitely works. Shaun of the Dead,
Yeah.
things of that nature. They all work in their own way.
A Nightmare on Elm Street built its entire franchise on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know what
Yeah,
I
so
mean?
not an argument
Yeah.
that I agree with, but
So whoever fucking said that shit,
Yeah, Zig, tell them.
you got Ziggy to answer to.
But something that I found extreme, like just really commendable about the production of this movie is how much work they put into making sure that the spiders were treated. I was gonna say humanely, but would that be like spiderly? Arachnidly. So they have the scene where John Goodman sprays the spider with the pesticide or whatever. So they just use water.
Yeah.
And then when he goes and he crushes it with his shoe, they cut out the bottom of his shoe so that it would just go over the spider, and the spider would just curl up underneath, and then he could just lift his shoe up, and it would just, the spider would still be alive and ready to do the next take. They did the same with like whenever they would drop a book or something on it, they would cut out a hole and pad the inside so that all of the spiders were fine during all of the production of stuff. And when they needed to do things that involved burning or electrocuting them, it's all puppets and stuff, which was actually Jamie Heineman from Mythbusters' first Hollywood project, was building Big Bob, the Goliath bird eater spider, because they used an actual Goliath bird eater that they painted and put like a fake abdomen on, but only for scenes that were like distance scenes and didn't need as much doing crazy shit. Most of it was a mechanized like puppet or whatever. But the amount of work that went into like figuring out what kind of spider they would use for the movie, they had like a spider Olympics where they would they would test out different spiders and be like, okay, this one's faster, so it's scarier. And like this one reacts to hot and cold differently, because that's how they would control them on set, is with hot and cold air, and also lemon pledge, where they would put it on surfaces because spiders won't walk on it. So they could like give them a path to go in with lemon pledge, or vibrating wire, because spiders wouldn't walk over it. So different stuff to like, they had to learn how to safely make it so that the spiders could move around the set. And they even almost have like, they have like camera things, and the way the spiders move, they feel like they have like emotions in the movie. It's weird. Like,
the work on getting them to do what they needed was so impressive to me. And then, so a lot of the time during the movie, I was questioning, like, is that real? Like, how the fuck did they get that
I spent the
spider
whole
to
movie
do
going
that?
like, is that a real spider? Is that a fake spider? Like,
pretty much, yeah. And I was like, oh, this is gross, dude.
Yeah.
But they did an amazing job with however they did it with these wires of this pledge, because a lot of times I was questioning whether or not any of it was real.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is, super impressive. And just the fact that I just love hearing stories about, like, because you think of a movie with spiders or bugs or whatever, and you think like, oh, the people on that set must have had just like a horrible time, and like, you know, would have just been stepping on bugs all over the place. And like, no, they really probably cared more about the treatment of the spiders in this movie than they did about the people on the movie. They asked Jeff Daniels if he was afraid of any of the spiders, because they even had to teach all of the actors how to interact and handle with the spiders so that they wouldn't hurt them. So the people wouldn't hurt the spiders, not the other way around, because they were harmless. But Jeff Daniels was like, oh, the smaller spiders didn't give me a problem. The bigger Goliath bird eater one, he was like, anybody in their right mind would be freaked out by that. And then they asked John Goodman, and he was just like, whatever, didn't have a problem. He was like, I just looked them in the eyes, they looked me back with their 16 eyes, and we were just on a level. He was just like, and we just understood each other, and I didn't have a problem with them. I'm like, John Goodman, you are a legend, national treasure. Yeah. Book of secrets. But yeah, I love this movie. I think that the mystery works really, really well. I like the
I almost wish that they played it up a little bit, right? Where if we didn't know it was the spiders, there's definitely parts where I was like, ooh, like let's figure out if it is Jeff. And then there were parts when it killed certain people, like the old lady that was trying to help him out. I was like, oh, that one bummed me out. And then when it killed the other doctor, I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Just 'cause he was kind of a dick.
Yeah. I was just hoping that at some point the entire town would form a giant mob and just be like, you know, evil dies tonight, you know, went after the spiders that way.
Arachnids die tonight.
Yeah, and in the next film we would find out that Big Bob, the big general spider, was actually Jamie Lee Curtis's brother.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Damn. That's crazy. Why, you guys want to write it? Oh, let me ask you this. Would you watch it again?
No.
Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel proud?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm still too close to having watched it.
Are you glad you watched it? Like, did you enjoy enough of it, or was
it is a good movie. I could have gone my entire life without having seen it. I was worried that I was going to have nightmares that night.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So for me, the reason why I am the way that I am, I have two instances where I interacted with spiders in some of the most terrifying ways at early enough ages where it imprinted on me in a way that I cannot correct.
Did you get pee hole spiders?
No.
Did you piss out web?
I did not piss out web. So when I was younger, there was a spider that came into our kitchen, and it was like a long, like tunnel style kitchen, and then we had the dining room table right past the refrigerator. And so it's a big spider, big old chunky spider. Don't know what breed. I was like 5.
So it probably seemed even bigger.
Yeah. So it comes running down, like right at me. And at this point, I'm already pretty freaked out by spiders in general. But like, it's not like to this level. So I climb up on top of the chair at the dining room table. It starts crawling up the leg of the chair that I climbed. And then it falls over and then immediately bursts into like millions of baby spiders, and was the most terrifying thing I've ever fucking seen in my entire life.
That really happened? Did you ever ask your mom about it?
No, it 100% happened.
That's crazy. Why would it explode?
Because they carry their babies on their back
until
they get big enough. But I mean, they were tiny little guys, but just everywhere.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
And what did you do?
That's a circle of
How
life.
does it end?
My parents came in because I fucking screamed like someone was murdering me, and my dad just fucking
Your dad just comes over and backhands you off the chair. Stop being a pussy, John.
Throws you into the middle of it.
he just starts stomping out all.
You're the
as many of
Thunderdome
these as
now,
you get hold of.
bitch.
No,
I mean, I would be mortified if that happened to me even today. So and especially as a kid, like I used to have nightmares where like if I dreamed about a spider in my dream, I'd wake up and think I was covered in them. And I remember like waking up and screaming to my grandma, thinking there were spiders all over me. So I used to have more of a problem with them. One of the things that helped me out a lot was like educating myself about them, which I know when you have arachnophobia is not like when she tries to take him into the barn in this movie and she's like, just face your fear. I was like, that doesn't work for everybody. There are some people who have had just traumatic experiences with certain animals and things. But for me, like I only had a mild fear of spiders. And so I just did a bunch of research into like everything I could find about spiders because the more I educate myself on stuff, the less afraid I feel about it.
The more you know about Michael Myers, the less scary he is.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, no, that's why I want them to do the he's part of a ancient satanic cult or whatever. Like I want to know more about that shit. Anywho, no.
Do you want to tell your other story?
Sure. The other one is much faster. I was
the spider of the story.
Around 11 at this time. So by then, I'm already been cemented as full-blown arachnophobe. Everything is terrifying to me if it has 8 legs. So I go to get in bed, and I peel the sheets back, and there is what at the time seemed like a giant black widow just in the middle of my bed. And I refused to sleep in my room for like a month.
Holy cow.
Makes sense. I was laying in bed the other day and I just look over and there's just a spider hanging out right there next to me. I'm just like, well, fuck.
What's up, Gary?
Yeah, so then I have to like go get a glass and a card and try to take it outside or whatever. But yeah, no, I think that if you're an arachnophobe and it really, really is something that you can't handle, then I don't recommend this movie. I completely understand. Like we really like bullied you into watching this movie for Creature Camp, and I was even gonna say like, hey, if you want to pick the next like Uncaught Gem or whatever, like you get a free one. Like, but the problem is like neither of us have really a movie that I feel like captures like a specific phobia that we have, like arachnophobia does for you. It's named after the thing that you have. Yeah.
And you've gotten past moths.
Yeah, really.
And we watch home invasion stuff all the time, and that's like my scary thing.
Yeah. And so we've had that exposure or whatever. Oh, but I did have a couple questions. One is, did it help that Jeff Daniels' character was also arachnophobic? Like, did you feel some sort of camaraderie with his character because he was also feeling the same feelings as you?
100%.
Like, did you feel like his representation of an arachnophobe was accurate to your experience?
Until he goes full John Rambo in the basement, yes.
Would you do that to save your family, though?
I don't know, because I've never been in that situation. Like I said, I could easily
put you in that
freeze up in
situation.
fear. But I've, being an adult, I've been able to get over it enough where, like, if there is a larger spider in the house, I can take care of it.
Your wife can take care of it for you.
If she's there, she knows she's taking care of it.
Yeah.
But if it's just me and it's me or the fuckhead that's in the house, it's gonna be the fuckhead.
It would be so funny if like next time we go over to your place to do a stream or whatever, we walk in, you're gone, there's just a spider sitting in your place. It's just getting all the shit ready.
Hey guys, what's up?
John who? I'm the new John.
Hey creeps.
He's got one in each leg.
The other question I wanted to ask real fast is, of all of the spidery situations in the movie, was there one that you found like the scariest? Was there one that got the most under your skin? I didn't like the spider in the shower because seeing the spider like all wet and slipping down her, I was like, I can't get horny during this scene, and that was really bothering me. No,
the toilet.
Yeah, one on the toilet.
The toilet.
That's a bad one because you just can't check every nook and cranny.
They do so much shit with like you like reaching your hands into things and there's spiders and or like putting your shoes on. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I don't know. It would be hard for me to pick.
The house. It has to be the house at the end where it's
swarmed in
so
spiders.
many of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and everywhere they look in the house and everywhere they turn, like when he falls into the basement, and he looks up and you can still see all the spiders just all over the walls. Gnarly.
Fuck that.
Well, out of 5 heebie-jeebies, out of 5 little huntsmans,
It's a 4.5. It is a very well crafted.
I'm glad you can be objective about
I can be
it.
objective
Yeah.
about the fact that it is a good movie and it did what it set out to do, which was to terrify people about spiders, but also have an enjoyable story and good comedy to keep you interested and involved. It is just a movie that I didn't have to watch and I never will watch again.
Right on.
Cool. I think I'm going to give it a 4. I'm a little bit more reserved on the half stars than you are usually, but I think it's a brilliant movie. I loved it even more this time around. I think this is probably my 3rd time seeing it. I remember being really freaked out by it the first time I saw it, but I just love seeing Jeff Daniels kind of flex and do something different than I'm used to seeing him do, but still with a little bit of that comedy. I think all the performances are weird and idiosyncratic and interesting. You even have like the dirtbag scientist who's like only interested in the science. And I think that the fact that it can get under my skin, not a lot of movies do that anymore. And that really comes down to just the animal work, like the fact that they were able to work with spiders in the way that they did. And for all the spider crushing noises, they just used mustard packets or potato chips that the Foley artists would step on to make the sound of the spiders crunching. But if you're ever in a bind, John, know this. So the scene in the beginning when all the insects are falling and all the spiders are falling, pretty much all those spiders that they would have caught would have been missing limbs and torn apart, because since spiders have an exoskeleton, you can't drop them from that high without them just exploding.
Yeah.
So if you ever run into a tarantula, all you have to do is pick it up at least 2 feet off the ground and drop it, and it'll shatter into a bunch of pieces. So
That's crazy.
Yeah, just because they have fragile external exoskeletons. So
No thanks.
Wild.
Before you give your rating, my chemistry teacher when I was in high school had a tarantula, and I eventually had to convince him to take it home.
That's why I've never gone to visit Dominic since.
That's why.
That's why, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I haven't been invited or anything or heard from the guy.
I'll say 4. I think 4 Huntsman for me.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'd have to watch it again. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, fuck yeah. Like, I don't want to watch it again necessarily, but I would watch it again.
I think that I just always look forward to the John Goodman stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. Give him a little spin-off movie.
John Goodman, the Exterminator.
John Goodman versus them.
Ooh, yeah.
A hill would indicate an ant presence.
That's a giant hill.
All right, cool. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our main discussion. We'll go ahead and get started with our final cut where we're talking about Thor, Love and Thunder and Stranger Things.
Stay tuned.
What do you know? I asked for final cut, and I got it.
All right, for final cut, we're doubling up again. I'm powering through, talking about Thor, Love and Thunder, and then we're going to talk about Stranger Things, Season 4, Episode 7. The end of Part 1.
7th Heaven.
Yeah. No, we can't talk about that show.
End of Part 1.
Let's get started with Thor, Love and Thunder, written, directed, and starring Taika Waititi.
Starring, yeah. Korg is the main character of the movie.
He is
To
the
me,
star,
he is.
though.
He's the heart of.
Yeah.
He's the heart and soul. Of
I mean, we quote that motherfucker all the time.
What's the quote that you always do?
Your hammer pulled you off? Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, so I rewatched Ragnarok because I hadn't seen it, I think, since theaters. I remembered enjoying it, but my memory of it was funny, it was a good time, but it had some problems, which is still how I felt on the rewatch.
I think,
but I was glad I watched it going into this. It was a little bit helpful.
Porcelain producer Ashley the intern also rewatched it, and we were talking about it because we saw the movie together. And the franchise itself needed something new, because Thor was fine. I know you didn't really care for it, right? Because of
it was Kenneth Branagh doing his Shakespearean take on Thor and his Dutch angle take on Thor.
Yeah,
and then Dark World fucking sucks. I'm sorry.
It is the bottom of the barrel of the Marvel.
The biggest waste of Chris Eccleston since doing one season of Doctor Who.
And
instead of multiple seasons.
Yeah, exactly.
It needed something different. And so what Taika did with Ragnarok was go basically in a completely different direction. Made it a comedy, which it really wasn't.
Yeah, and that kind of ushered in the era of the goofier Thor, which we've kind of come to love in the Avengers movies and stuff.
And Hemsworth has really taken that up well.
Which I'm happy about, because Hemsworth, and I've seen him in other things where he does a bit of comedy, he has a a big ass funny bone in his body.
Well,
he has great comedic chops.
He has the cheat code. He's Australian. He has the cheat code.
Yeah.
It literally is 100% the cheat code. Like, if you are Australian, you are likely funny.
Yeah, so we have old Chris Hemsworth as the mighty. Well,
No,
not
just
anymore.
Thor.
Just Thor.
Just the Thor.
We have Natalie Portman as Jane Foster / Jane Fonda / Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
/ the
spoilers
Mighty
moving
Thor.
forward. Yes.
Yeah, that's all in the trailer. That
Yeah.
she's a Thor. We have Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. We have, like you said, Taika Waititi as Korg. We have Christian Bale as
So fucking
Gore the God Butcher.
crazy. Yeah. Gore, Thor, and Mighty Thor.
Yep.
I was like, come on, guys.
Yeah. They should have had a character called Whore.
Before we jump into any more, including the rest of the cast, let's hit him with a nice, classy spoiler alert. We are going to talk about this movie at length. If you have not watched it, go to the theaters and check it out. It is something where I had bare minimum say I recommend watching it in theaters.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into it. I didn't love the movie, but I would say if you're just looking for a fun, colorful romp, then it's a Zeus. That's all I got to say about it.
Continuing the cast, we have Russell Crowe as Zeus, which is probably the worst part of this movie for me.
Yeah.
The Zeus character or Russell Crowe's
Crowe's performance as the Zeus character.
Yeah, and if we want to talk about performances, Natalie Portman's performance didn't really do anything for me, and I don't know, because I've seen her and stuff, and she can act when she acts.
Yeah, Black Swan.
I don't
Perfect
feel like
example.
she did shit in this, and
So-
that was a problem for me.
I don't think it was as much her, because I, on the other end of the spectrum, don't like Natalie Portman in general in most things. I think she's fine as a person. I don't have anything against her. I just, like, she never blows me away in anything except for Black Swan. That's the one that everybody always turns to. Is like, but what about Black Swan? It's like, okay, people can be good if they're directed well, and the movie's written and directed well, and she was in a good part, and she worked really hard on it. In this was the one of the few times where I actually kind of enjoyed her character and kind of enjoyed that they were giving Jane a little bit of extra time. And the problem came down to the majority of the plot lines in this movie are way underdeveloped and way underserved for the sake of overly extended comedy bits, which was something that I was nervous about, because that was Thor Ragnarok. It walked a very fine line where there were parts where I felt like it was a little bit too up its own, like Taika was a little bit too up his own ass with the jokes in Ragnarok, but for the most part the jokes landed, and there was still an interesting story with Hela and Ragnarok and all that stuff and the garbage planet that was interesting. This movie feels like it basically sacrifices almost any impactful, serious moment with any of these characters for the sake of a bit, and not just bits that they do once, bits that they do like 5 to 6 times throughout the movie. There's so much of the screaming goats. There's so much of Jane like doing corny, like, this is my new catchphrase. Like, everybody in this is just like a dumb piece of shit. And really, I was pretty underwhelmed in general by the movie. I didn't hate it because it's colorful. I think the actors have a lot of charisma. Like, the cast really is the thing that's fun about this movie, is that I think everybody has a good amount of charisma. But like, Christian Bale is Gore. Phenomenal in the 4 scenes that he's in the movie. Has a great opening. I loved that origin for his character where he's in the desert, he loses his daughter, he looks fucking haggard and crazy, and it's always exciting to see Christian Bale like lose a bunch of weight and do, something crazy with his appearance. Then he goes into this oasis and he has a confrontation with a god, and the god's like, fuck you, I don't give a shit about you. And the first inkling that I was like, oh, so Taika's not really going to put any effort into making the things that happen in this plot make any sense about why they happen, was when the magical sword just like floats off the ground and chooses him. And then he's like, now I'm a Nosferatu man and I'm going to kill all the gods. Love the concept, but it's all that's the whole movie, is love the concept, don't like the execution, because he just gets handed a magic sword. And then I'm like, cool, the movie's going to explore like this question of like, should Thor and Jane be like happy to be gods of thunder or whatever when they are learning that the gods are pieces of shit? And the movie just never really explores that further than his little intro scene, and you get to see that Zeus is a piece of shit. But they never have that moment where it's like, oh, okay, like maybe the Asgardians were like not that great either, and like maybe that could be something that we explore with the new Asgardians, where they're learning like, you know, they're moving away from the like Asgardian gods and more into this like human touristy culture. And even Tessa Thompson's set up to her character in this being like a bureaucrat leader of this new Asgard, they brush it aside almost immediately in favor of her getting into a flashy costume and going and doing things. And then they just have her get stabbed and sideline her character or whatever. And it just felt like everybody was underserved throughout the movie. And
I don't know if I felt like that about everybody, but I definitely felt like that with us supposed to care about Jane Foster.
Well,
because
within the span of 5 minutes, it's like she has cancer.
Yeah.
She finds Mjolnir. She's Thor.
Right, and then their relationship, like, they did a good stuff. Like you said, they have chemistry, but and again, spoilers, eventually when she dies, I was like, I don't, like, it didn't hit me. Like some of the other deaths in the
scene that just, like, completely underwrites that anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it
just showed that that was like a happy ending for her. I like that.
Yeah, I like
that she's not coming back. Like, she's in Valhalla. Like, that's, you go be
just
dead.
wait till the next Thor movie where they're like, okay, we're gonna go to Valhalla. That's what I mean.
So,
honestly, I could see it happening. Like, oh, we gotta go get Heimdall and Jane from Valhalla to fight Doctor Doom or whatever the fuck it is.
Maybe, I don't know, but yeah. So I mean, I thought that was definitely underserved as far as their relationship goes. I just didn't care. We just don't care, and they try to make us care because we get all this storyline with what's his name narrating. Taika's character,
Korg.
Yeah, narrating like this is what happened, and then I was like, okay, yeah.
Well, it just feels like
a little tacked on.
Well, it feels like four or five different movies all mashed together. Like, there's the potential Guardians and Thor movie that we get like 5 minutes of in the beginning, and then
did you want more than that though?
Well, I didn't care, but a lot of people were disappointed because then James Gunn came out with a quote right after this and was like, Thor was never going to be in the next Guardians movie. Like, this was always the plan, was to give him like put him back on his own path or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was fine with, like, you know, him just hanging out with them for a little bit, but that could have been a movie. Then the Gore the God Butcher stuff felt way more in line with like the Thor the Dark World version of Thor and the Dark Elves and all of that, and felt like a much darker in tone story and idea, and him kidnapping kids and just kind of like fucking with them while he's got them kidnapped and like, I'm just gonna spook you. All of that felt so separated from the rest of the story, where they're on a boat spaceship that's powered by carried by screaming goats, and he's having like a weird like love triangle thing with his weapons the whole time. Like, I feel like we get more emotional time dedicated to his hammer and his axe than we do to the actual characters in the movie. Because I felt like Jane's whole thing with cancer and becoming the mighty Thor, and her like, you know, her battle between, okay, she finds out that the hammer is draining her life force and she's not gonna be able to live for very much longer if she keeps doing this, could have been its own movie. The going to the god, the whatever it's called, Omnipotent City or whatever, meeting all of the gods from all the different religions and everything, could have been its own movie. There's just the stuff at New Asgard, like all of this could have been its own, like, thought out and extended out into maybe like 2 Thor movies or something. And it just felt like, and even Taika has said this was, I guess, like 4 hours of footage that was mandated to be edited down to right under 2 hours. And he said that he basically just shot without a plan. He was like, I'm just going to shoot all the funny shit that I want to shoot, and we'll find it in the edit. Which is not really the best way to make a movie that's supposed to connect with a larger universe.
Especially with a director that is known to make longer films. And is very good at piecing them together and making them feel like they're shorter than they are. And then especially from a studio that has been known to release longer films that make a fuck ton of money.
Well, and then we find out that both Jeff Goldblum's character and Peter Dinklage's character from Infinity War were both in this movie.
And were cut.
Right.
Christian Bale talked about how he had so much more gore stuff that never made it into the movie. That's like way scarier and crazier and like develops the character even further and all that. So it just sounds like really it was Taika just going, I want to do 2 hours of Marvel-themed improv comedy, and I'm going to like kind of basically string it together with a we got to go find this thing and then find this thing and then find this thing plot. And
the pacing is good though.
I mean, it didn't feel like 2 hours for the most part. I mean, I was just the whole time wondering, like, where is this going? Like, what are we doing?
The feeling of the runtime is good. The pacing is not good. The pacing, in the comedy moments, flies by. And then as soon as you get to an emotionally impactful moment, everything feels like it screeches to a halt.
Because I don't think Taika knows how to... I mean,
if you've watched Jojo Rabbit, you know that he does know how to do
well, yeah, and
moments.
I just watched Wilder People, and there's a lot of emotional stuff in that. So, I mean, he knows how to do it, but I feel like he may have kind of started to forget that's what he should be including in these movies. It feels like he's kind of like, I have all the money in the world and all the resources in the world because I'm doing a Marvel movie, and so I'm just going to take this opportunity to do whatever the fuck I want for 2 hours.
I would be more inclined to say that it's likely more studio interference than it is anything else. Just because he says that he shot the funny things that he wanted to shoot doesn't mean that he didn't have a 2 hour and 45-minute cut of this movie that fleshes out the characters, gives everybody more time, and makes everything feel like it's paced better. I mean, we've seen 1,000 instances of that being the case, of a studio saying, we need this to be under 2 hours, and then releasing a bullshit product. And then a few years later, them releasing a director's cut that adds 30 minutes and somehow feels better put together, better pace. And
that's never
shorter.
really been the MCU's thing, though.
But it doesn't mean that it's not in this instance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like what the rest of these movies feel like, which is it doesn't feel like Marvel really knows what it's doing. And this kind of like this and Strange have just kind of made me start to realize that like they really just set themselves up for it to be really hard to sit down and watch one of these movies and just enjoy it for what it is. Because when you watched movies from like Phase 2, because another thing I did is I was like, okay, I'm in a Marvel mood, I'm going to go back and rewatch. I rewatched Civil War, I rewatched Infinity War, and I rewatched Ragnarok, and especially those Russo like last phase movies. You felt like you were investing in like a larger universe and a larger story, and you felt like you were really like, I gotta watch this because it's giving me important information about what's going on with everybody and everything. None of these movies really and none of the TV shows really feel that way anymore, where it's like I watched Thor and I was like, okay, like what, how does that
connect to anything?
And now you're suddenly just making shit up about like, oh, and there's also this eternity that you can go find and it'll grant you a wish. And it's like, okay, why did nobody mention that when Thanos was fucking around? Why weren't they like, oh, let's go find eternity and open it with Bifrost and wish for Thanos to never exist? It's just like, it just feels like they're just making shit up at this point just to make shit up. And it's like,
to me, it feels like Marvel produced hits. People loved it. Now everyone's hooked and addicted. So now it's like, well, people are going to see our shit no matter what. We're making money no matter what. So it really, to us, maybe doesn't matter the quality necessarily.
Yeah, and how many characters can we get now on the screen?
I just think at this point they are having a tough time figuring out how they're going to present the next idea.
Yeah.
Because there are a ton of people who are like, oh yeah, we're going to get Secret Wars, we're going to get this, we're going to get that. And nothing feels connected in the same way that it did before.
Right.
And regardless if that's what we're getting next is Secret Wars or whatever it is, fucking do something that leads us there. Because as of right now, it feels like they're just aimlessly paddling this boat with the goats in front of it.
Yeah, it's like even the post-credit scenes in
finding
this was like, oh, Zeus is still alive. Oh, great. And they're setting up Hercules. Who the fuck gives a shit about Hercules? Like, and then the next post-credit scene was, yeah, a nice send-off for Jane, and we got to see Heimdall again and everything. But I'm like, really? There couldn't be a single post-credit scene that had any indication of anything to be excited about in the next, like, upcoming thing? Rumors are now that Black Panther is potentially going to introduce Doctor Doom as the next big bad. That's what the rumor is. Take these rumors with a grain of salt. People are also saying that things like John Krasinski's appearance in Doctor Strange does not mean that he's going to play Reed Richards in the actual like MCU 616 version or whatever. Now they're saying that Penn Badgley from that show You may be playing Reed Richards. Just a lot of like rumors going around. I think everybody's just trying to suss out. There's some big stuff that happened in the season finale of Miss Marvel that I won't go into to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but that's caused some big stirs in the community, a big game changer for a lot of people. So, but it all just feels kind of like, what are we doing?
I like this movie though. I don't want to sit here and shit on it so much because I enjoy like the time.
I had
that
a
we
good
spent
time
in
in the theater.
The soundtrack again is fucking off the charts. It's right up there with the Guardians and Ragnarok, and I had a blast with that.
Mostly Guns N' Roses songs.
Hearing Enya was fucking tight, dude.
That was
like,
funny.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
on, brother.
The fight in like the monochrome world with
favorite part
Thor
of the movie.
is
fucking.
It's one of the best fights they've done so far.
Well, Steven told me before I saw the movie, he was like, there's one scene in the movie or one sequence in the movie that is probably the most visually interesting thing Marvel's ever done. And as soon as I saw that scene, I was like, this is what he was talking about. Because I loved how like the weapons and their powers would cast like a colored light on whatever they were shining on, and that was like the only color in the scene. It was such an interesting, cool way to do like the monochrome idea. Loved it. There's a lot of like visually this movie looks amazing for the most part. I will say that I do think that some of the costume design is not great. I think Thor's outfit, it looks like cheap plastic Disney store, and his helmet looked fucking ridiculous when he put it on in that one scene where he's like, I got a helmet and I'm competing with...
I think it was supposed to look ridiculous, but I think you don't mean ridiculous.
Stop defending the movie, you shill!
It didn't look ridiculous as in like over the top. It looked ridiculous, like ridiculously fake.
Stuff felt cheap in this movie, and I think a part of that is that the majority of the scenes in this were shot on the volume, and this was like the first big MCU property to be largely shot on the volume, and I think you can tell.
Yeah.
But the volume is not like the true criminal, because the Batman was shot largely on the volume also.
Oh, really?
But they went through and added a bunch of extra lighting and actual sets inside the volume and stuff to build out the atmosphere and make it actually work. These Marvel and Disney properties are just like, nope, we'll throw them on the volume, project shit around them, and that's all we got to do. And it's like, no, because it just gives everything kind of like a small claustrophobic weird feel. Like it doesn't feel grand or spectacular or whatever. But I did like the way the Omnipotent City looked. I thought that like I thought Gore's like design and everything was super cool and creepy. I love when he's in the shadows and it looks like he has like a skeleton face, because the shadows make like a missing nose, and every time he comes out of the shadows it's his face, but when he's in the shadows he has like a skeleton face.
I liked that at the beginning he has all these tattoos and stuff to represent his god, and then at the end of the movie that he like scarred them all out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a cool subtle little touch to show that he's given up everything that he used to believe in. So I really loved that. I thought that was a cool touch to the movie. I thought Christian Bale's performance as Gore was fantastic. Like you said, I could have watched just that as a movie.
Yeah,
I thought he was fantastic.
Well, I think it was
was
it you who mentioned like, oh, it would have made a cool Disney Plus show.
Yeah,
like 6 episodes of Gore and his and his like
and call it that.
Well, yeah,
6
just call it
Gore.
Call it Gore, and just have the whole series be him going around to different like going out to the Egyptian gods and you know trying to kill them, going to the Greek gods and trying to kill them.
As much as I really dug this movie, imagine this being spread out further into more of a series format and having it be a mystery who Gore is. Do the same story, but spread it out over a longer period of time, allow him to get more scenes and more build-up, and then just have it be this build-up of getting it, and then just have a later in the season reveal of that it's this Gore character, and then you have a lot of Gore. Have a full episode on the next episode before, like, you've got 2 left for the end of the season, of just his backstory, the backstory that we got, plus him going through and actually killing a few of these gods, and, like, how the process works. And, like, I think that would have made a more interesting path for this to go, because I feel like they did try to cram too much into this movie. A lot of it's interesting. They do a good job of making things that you want to watch. It's just all compacted into this story that is, you know, the runtime is just too short. It doesn't have enough space for everything to live and breathe in here. And I think that that's the biggest problem I have with the movie, aside from the fact that Russell Crowe is an abomination in this film.
Apparently, from what I heard or what I read, is that he's doing some sort of homage to like a famous Australian comedian that literally nobody in the United States is going to get that reference, and he just looks like an idiot.
Accent, though.
Well, I guess the comedian used to do like a Greek character that did that accent.
It's not a Greek accent.
Yeah, apparently. Oh, it was Dan Murrell who was saying this, and he said that his wife, who is of Greek ancestry, turned to him as soon as Russell Crowe opened his mouth, and she was like, "Is he fucking joking? Like, is he doing that voice? Like, I'm fine with doing riffs on the Greek gods or whatever. As much as I love Greek mythology, I'm like, we don't need to see another boring ass like bearded Zeus. Like, I was like, okay, cool. Russell Crowe sounds like a cool addition to the whole like pantheon or whatever. And I liked the idea of making him like a piece of shit character. But having him like dance around with the lightning bolt and do all this stuff, and like just it was just all way too over the top and ridiculous, and it went on for way too long, which it was my problem with like the comedy that hit in this. It worked. I laughed a lot. It's just that it wasn't like in Ragnarok. I felt like everything, like pretty much everything hit. Like I thought everybody was on fire, and in this, there were some bits where I was like, I never found the goats funny except for the first time they were on screen and they were screaming, and then to have it go on so many times and like. Just so many jokes that just felt like they went on forever, and it was like you couldn't have trimmed this joke to half the length that it is to give us more time with the other characters and do more stuff. Like, really, I think it's just overindulgence on Taika Waititi's part.
And I think the problem, too, is that going from Dark World to Ragnarok is such a big departure in what the series needed, and Ragnarok was kind of a breath of fresh air for this franchise, and now we're getting a Ragnarok 2. So
and that's what a lot of
fresh.
reviewers said, was that this feels
it.
like just Ragnarok Part 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I felt after watching it. I was like, yeah, it's just not, like, that was fresh, that was new, that was exciting. This is just that not as well done.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see if Taika continues to do Thor stuff. I know he has Star Wars projects coming up. He's making a Star Wars movie. He embarrassingly asked Natalie Portman on the set of this if she would be interested. He was like, hey, would you be interested in being in my Star Wars movie? And she was like, I was in Star Wars. And he was like, oh my God, I completely forgot.
That sounds like something he would do on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's doing like a Star Wars thing. But I think this is a good sign that like it's time to bring in some fresh flavor to Thor. Mix it up again. Like I like that they have brought so many interesting different voices into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm really excited with what they're doing with, as much as I haven't been like my bones are on fire about Miss Marvel. I love that they have like a creative team of mostly Middle Eastern people who understand like actual Islamic and Muslim culture making that show. Mm-hmm. And same with Moon Knight, had a lot of like Egyptian people involved and everything. And I love that they're bringing in this diversity of creators. And I think it's probably just time for a little reboot on Thor. Give him some time. Give us some time away from the Thor movies, and he's fine if he shows up in other stuff. But I think it's probably time to have somebody else take their spin on it and see how it works out.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
Too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll
cool.
see.
Well, do we want to rate it?
Yeah. Let's do it out of 5. Eat my hammers. I was really hoping that the line she was going to land on was "Stop hammer time." And we never got it. Yeah. But anyway.
All right. I'll say 3.5. Eat my hammers. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun. I had a good time with it. I would definitely watch it again. I don't think it's quite as good as Ragnarok, like we've discussed, but there were parts of this movie I really enjoyed.
I'll give it a 3.5 stars.
Can you do that a little bit lower?
For all of the exact same reasons. Ragnarok is a better film. This is a good film. This is still the second best movie in the Thor franchise for me because the other two are hot trash by comparison.
Yeah. As much as I shit on this during the review, which always happens with these, where I watch it and I go, I had a good time with that. And then we get enough days between me seeing it and us recording that I go, actually... But I'd give it a 3.
Yeah,
like I said, the stuff that was visually stunning was visually fantastic, very stunning. The charisma and the comedic chops of the cast all held up for me. I thought it was great. I still like Taika Waititi. I know everybody on the internet now is like, fuck Taika Waititi, like down with it. It's just how the internet is. They're like, oh, he made a movie that you slightly didn't like. Discount everything else he's ever done.
Are people not liking this? Is it getting bad reviews?
It's extremely divided.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of people are just very negative on the MCU in general right now. So they're pissed about one thing or another involving the MCU.
Everybody's fantastic, and Our Flag Means Death.
And What We Do in the Shadows is a smash hit. Yeah. Which he's also involved with, which could have something to do with why this movie felt so disjointed and haphazard and slapdash, was because he's also involved in a bunch of other projects that are highly successful. Yeah. I think Taika Waititi is it seems like a hilarious dude, seems like a total sweetheart to me in person from what I've seen in interviews and stuff, and also hugely talented, extremely funny. So I'm not discounting any of that. I just think that this movie was a bit of a misstep for whatever reason, whether that's the studio or whether that's him trying to get too big for his britches or overindulgent. But I had a good enough time with it that I would still give it an average, 3 out of 5. So.
Yeah. Right on. Let's talk about Stranger Things, Season 4, Episode 7.
The Massacre at I Told You So Labs.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, spoilers, moving forward. We are still breaking the binge, so we have not watched episodes 8 or 9 yet. Probably will after we record this.
Yeah.
Because it's our watch day.
Yeah.
Our supposed to watch day.
It's still the watch day for me because we hadn't recorded the episode yet.
And so we last left our older teenage crew in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the repercussions of that.
Yeah,
so it's them doing that, our Hawkins kids trying to figure out what's going on with them and avoid the police, and Elle continuing her training. And do we see Mike and Will in this one? I don't think
we don't see
but
them.
we do see Hopper and the Demogorgon, right?
Yeah.
And then we get Hopper and the
Hopper
Demogorgon.
v. Demogorgon.
Yes, correct. Which I was like...
I was happy that for this episode, because there is so much backstory and reveals and stuff. I was glad they at least stripped one of the plot lines away and focused a little bit more on just a couple of them, because we complained or just kind of commented last week that it feels like there's a bit too much going on.
There is too much going on.
And it still feels that way, but
at least we're starting to come together.
Yeah, and we're getting more time with the things that are, it feels like, truly important, which is the Upside Down and Elle and Vecna.
To me, this episode felt so much like a Stranger Things episode. Like, we get them exploring. Some of it's in the Upside Down, some of it's not. We get them trying to figure out shit with the lights. We get them on bikes.
Bright, yeah.
On bikes doing things. I was like,
was
this
so cool.
feels like a Stranger Things episode to me.
Yeah.
Scary Demogorgon stuff. And I was like, let's go for it. So I felt really good about it. I enjoyed it a lot.
It's a long episode.
And you called. Here's the things Anthony called.
Not everything, but a few things.
That character was Vecna.
Yeah.
Or is Vecna.
And also number one.
Also number one. So that too. What I was not expecting, and I'm glad that we got it, was that he was
the little boy.
Victor's son. Victor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Henry Creel, I think, is the kid.
Yes. And so I was like, thank God, because I was like, how the fuck does it connect to this other storyline? And I didn't want that to be a loose
they
end.
pulled a little bait and switch on us. They pulled a little flip the script by.
But they did say that, like, he was in a coma. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, whatever. I didn't think about it again after that. So they set the groundwork in place, and that was cool for me. And so I was like, all right.
And I also like that it's eliminated some of the mystery of the thought or the concept that the Upside Down has been like fucking shit up for this long. And the reason why it feels like basically 11 shows up in Hawkins and then the Upside Down starts fucking with everybody, it makes a lot more sense now, because 11 kind of started it in a way.
Yeah, and so that's what I was curious about. So she stops him, and she's like pushing on him, and then she suddenly opens a portal to a new dimension. I don't know. That was a little weird for me, because I was like, did she know she could do that?
I think it was just
she
by
trying
accident.
to do that? It wasn't just an accident that she opened a portal to another dimension that at first doesn't even look like the Upside Down. It looks like something from like The Mummy Returns. So it's like all these weird things
it's
happening.
kind of like what she does. It's pretty much supposed to be what she does to the Demogorgon at the end of season 1, when she screams and puts her hand up and it evaporates or whatever, and then they both end up
in the
disappearing
Upside Down
or whatever in the Upside Down. Yeah.
Yes, but she sends him to a weird place where he's not. It's not quite the Upside Down, because it's like it almost seemed like maybe it's like a scene from Doctor Strange.
I just thought he was
weirdness.
flying through the sky, because he's getting like hit by the lightning and everything's red, and they have like the red clouds and the red lightning. I just thought he was flying through the sky of the Upside Down or some crazy shit.
Yeah, it was a little weird, and so I'm like, I kind of want them to give me a little bit more there.
But a couple things that we kind of hoped for or called. One was, I was hoping that we would get more time in the Upside Down. We get a lot of exploratory time in the Upside Down. We learned that the Upside Down is in the past.
Super weird.
Which is, I'm very interested to see what kind of time travel-y shit they try to pull with the Upside Down, because that's obviously going to turn into some, crazy world-ending thing. But
another thing that we didn't call, as they're trying to escape the Upside Down, is they bring back Barb in the most fucked up way possible.
Was she actually the same actress? Did they have her do the little face?
I think so, maybe.
Oh,
but
cool.
but either way, the concept of them just being like, all right, you felt safe for too long. Here's your hammer. Was pretty great.
What I
loved
loved
the way
about
they
it-
executed that little twist with Nancy too.
Yes, because I'm not one who has forgotten about Barb. It's always kind of in my mind that happened.
Yeah.
But I did not think about it being her survivor's guilt, which we've talked about a lot in this season. Maybe how Vecna's choosing his victims to some extent, at least. And so I was like, oh, fuck yeah, that's right. Like, she has that. So that was cool. And I was like, are we going to get Barb? I was hoping it was going to be a Billy situation where they actually showed her again. Because I think people would have flipped their shit if they brought her back for a second. But it was good, yeah. But then she just climbs out of the pool, right? and then she's in Vecna's lair. So I was like, did he want her?
So
there?
I think that
You know what I mean?
we're when we're in Vecna's part of the world, we're not actually in the Upside Down. We're like in his head, I think. Similar to kind of how Freddy works and how you're like in his dream world.
Yeah, because they kind of mention like, because Max mentions like, oh, it was like he didn't want me there, like I wasn't supposed to be there, and it makes
so
me.
she's not in the Upside Down. It's all so he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah,
but she climbs out of the pool.
I think it's some weird combination of his powers influencing. Like he's able to create his own like world inside the Upside Down where he like controls things or whatever. So that was all interesting for sure, and we get like basically we also were wondering, because I made the joke like, okay, there's another portal, which they even like kind of make a joke about like, well, how is there another portal? And then we realized that every time Vecna has killed somebody, he's created a portal to the Upside Down.
Watergate.
Yeah, Watergate, which I loved the idea of they're like, okay, well, is it Chrissy? Like she died at the trailer park, so let's go there because there will be a portal there.
Yeah, and which they set up early because people were investigating it and it was all weird. So then we have that one, and then we should have Franklin's in the road somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Franklin?
Franklin. Yeah.
In a Tanklin.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, so I loved that. I loved that the connection between Dustin and Steve is really played up here, and that's the reason they're able to kind of communicate. It does seem like he and Nancy are going to get together.
Yeah, I don't want it,
more.
but at the same time, I'm like, I love Steve's character so much that I want to see him happy. I don't like Nancy that much. I think she kind of irritates me a bit. I liked her in the earlier seasons, but for whatever reason, like she kind of like drives me up a wall now. I don't know what it is. And they seem to be setting up potentially some sort of like interest or romance with Robin maybe having a thing for Nancy. Like it kind of seems like they're kind of heading in that direction. Robin I also find extremely irritating throughout this entire season. I love Maya Hawke, but for whatever reason, like every time she just like doesn't shut up and just keeps saying weird shit, like I'm just like, stop it, stop talking.
Not as charming as she was last season.
I liked her being kind of like aloof and like kind of sarcastic in the previous season, and now that she's more like uncomfortable in her own skin, I like that journey for her character, and I like that she's kind of trying to like figure out what her role in this group is, but she's just so painfully awkward sometimes that it kind of drives me crazy. But not so much that I'm like, fuck that character or whatever. I'm just like, they're not my favorite characters of the group. But
I feel like Nancy she has more to do in this season than she's had in some seasons past, and I feel like the character's stretched a little thin. But I do still enjoy Robin's character. I feel like the awkwardness, especially being a gay person in the 80s, is a pretty rough sell.
Which, I mean, Will is also dealing with.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Very hinted at, but
Yeah.
we don't know for sure yet.
Yeah, he's 100% gay boy. For Mike.
I know, and it's going to be... I'm so nervous for it. Like, I'm like, don't do it.
When
Please don't do
it
it.
just blows up in their faces.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man, it's going to be hella sad.
But, I mean, we were wondering, like, did everybody else make it through the portal at the end of last episode? They did. I liked their little fight against those bat things. I liked them running into the woods. I loved... Because I've seen art that's this exact thing, and I'm almost wondering if they were inspired by that, but the kids riding the bikes in the right side up, and then the camera, like, flipping through the ground, and it's them riding the bikes in the upside down.
Yeah.
I love their little like sneak out of the house on the bikes. I'm like, oh no, it was when the upside down. They were like, oh, you still had bikes, right? But yeah, in the right side up.
Spielbergian.
Yeah, for sure. The big massacre at Hawkins' lab. We were obviously under the impression that Elle had like murked all these people in the lab,
and that's something that happens in the first season, right? Like, don't we jump in at some point?
No, we jump in.
I don't think we saw any of this in earlier seasons.
Yeah, we only jump in literally, like, the first thing is the Demogorgon getting loose.
Right.
Into Hawkins.
And then she's escaped. And we don't really know
I thought we
anything
get
about
parts
her
of it,
experience.
but
we get little, like, glimpses into what her past is like, but this is all after she's done whatever she's done to one.
Yeah, so one kind of... we get to see how pretty fucked up and abusive not only the way these kids are treated, but the way these kids treat each other also.
Yeah, we get
really
very
sucks.
competitive. Bully parallels with what she's going through now and what she went through.
Yeah, so it doesn't surprise me that whatever the fuck Henry Creel /#1 went through probably fucked his brain up even more than it was. But he's one of those like Omen kids that because of his creepy ass powers, he's just apparently always been evil. He has a whole speech at the end where he explains how he's always had a fascination with spiders and wanted to basically be a spider, wants to be a predator. And
yeah, you're getting a lot of spiders this summer, buddy.
I know, right?
That was unintentional on our end.
Yeah, and
I called Mr. Duffer. Said, "Hey, Duffer 1,
Packing the spiders.
Duffer 1."
Yeah. What does it seem
we
like
get some spiders?
What does it seem like his mission in life? What did he say? Like, what's his mission for killing people? Like, what is he trying to do?
I think like because they did things wrong. Like
Yeah.
his dad did that shit wrong when he was in the war to him.
Yeah.
So kind of avenging, righting wrongs. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's
So
like a Thanos.
So
kind of gray.
he buddies up with Elle to kind of try to help her come up with an escape plan to get out of the lab, and reveals that he is number one, which I was like, yeah. And then he also reveals that he has some sort of like inhibitor chip in his neck, and he tells Elle like, hey, you mind? Or she's like, hey, I can get that out for you. She magics it out of his neck, and before she even did it, I was like, oh, girl,
You done did it now.
He wasn't gonna hurt her
turn on
though.
ya.
His intention was to still
Go kill everybody
save.
else.
Yeah. And I find that really endearing.
Yeah.
Good for him, you know? You pick a favorite and you stick with it.
Yeah, so she gets the inhibitor chip out, and then he goes off and just murders the... first he shows off that he's ultra powerful, because those guards come to try to attack him in the hallway, and he's just like Darth Vader, just boom, boom, throwing him against walls
Does
and
a
shit.
little crank, and then...
I love the way he looks as Vecna, the actor himself. I feel like it's hella goofy. And so I don't find the actor intimidating.
It's
that outfit, I guess. I don't know.
The very weird thing to see. Well, one, it's strange. It just shows how good the makeup is, that it's the same actor playing Vecna and playing, like, it's him in the makeup. And two, I saw a video that I wouldn't have normally watched if I hadn't seen up to this part, or it would have just spoiled things for me, I guess. But it was, I think the actor's name is Jamie Campbell Bower, doing the voice of Vecna, and he does that like deep, like, and he just does it like, I'm sure there's like obviously like stuff layered on it, but it showed him just like in front of a mic doing that Vecna voice, and it's him doing the voice. So I mean, talented guy.
I mean, he's a talented singer as well. Obviously, we know that he's in Sweeney Todd.
The worst boys in Hawkins. And then let's talk about
Steal You 11.
Yeah, so we get some light bright shit, some classic Stranger Things. They're communicating. Most of the crew gets pulled out. Nancy is tranced. We don't know what ends up happening.
They find
to her.
out that like being in the Upside Down, you can have a kind of like an MDMA like drug trip experience when you go by the lights, and they're like, "Ooh, touch the tingly lights."
Yeah,
and we kind of realize that that's what Will was doing to connect through the Christmas lights.
Super
in the first
cool,
season,
because that's always something I was like, how did he do it though? You know what I mean? Like, we never get that explained.
Yeah, I love
so
stuff
they are
that like
trying to
connects
tie
it
in.
back to so it makes it feel like a complete story and not just they're adding shit to add shit.
Right. Yeah.
And even if that's done obviously after the fact to connect it, still a cool little thread that I appreciate.
Yeah. I loved the scene of them climbing up and then falling from that sheet. I guess that was cool.
Yeah, I was like, how did they do that effect? Yeah, it was super cool looking. And
then let's talk about Hopper and what's her nuts. Joyce, there you go.
Yeah.
They find him way too easily, like we talked about, but at least this story is progressing.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep going, let's go, let's get it over with. And then Hopper's plan to fight the Demogorgon goes basically completely wrong.
Yeah, it's
like everybody dies.
Yeah, everybody dies except for him, basically.
Hopper and his friend.
It was so nice to see the Demogorgon just like wrecking shop.
Oh,
and it was what you said. It felt like
blood.
Stranger Things, like, and just seeing, I was like, yes. As much as I'm into Vecna, it was cool to see the Demogorgon like doing its thing.
I don't feel like we see him eat a lot in previous seasons. So
just
see
like
him
and
he's just like
face.
sucking people's faces off. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, suck some face, dude.
Yeah, and I'm like, Hopper, you should have tried the lighter before you even got into this cage, bro, to make sure that it worked.
Yeah,
but
I think he does.
Classic tension.
He does just a one, and it lights up immediately.
Yeah.
When he's in the thing.
But I did like, I'm just a big fan of Murray as a character. I liked his whole like speaking in Russian, infiltrating the whole thing, and as goofy as the plan was, he just fucking kicked ass.
Yeah.
Like, just any opportunity he had in this episode, he kicked ass, and it was fun.
Yeah, I'm hoping that episode 8 starts pulling everything together. I think that
it's going.
It's time for Hopper to go home.
I think so, yeah. I think they're all gonna, and I think the boys are gonna get to L, and then they're gonna get to Hawkins. I'm hoping.
Well, then they're gonna get to L, and then the government's gonna get to L, and then it's gonna be a fucking chase to Hawkins.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Road
okay.
Warrior.
And obviously, I don't think they're gonna kill Nancy.
Yeah,
But what's her favorite song, dude? She has the Top Gun poster, so maybe it's gonna be one of those songs, "The Danger Zone."
So that
Can
brings
you
up,
imagine if that was Nancy's favorite
so
song?
I think I know how it's gonna happen because obviously they can't.
Steve's gonna kiss her.
I think Steve. I think no.
shit.
I don't think he's gonna kiss her. I think he's gonna sing to her.
That Neverending Story song.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he's gonna sing?
I don't fucking know, but I think he's gonna sing.
I'm trying to like rack my brain for any time they've had like a musical moment together, like something that would like tie her to a song.
Maybe
But
there's like a song.
It's got to be the Danger Zone.
Or it could be I'm sure there was a song playing when they were like doing like their like study flashcards back from season 1.
Or Sexin.
yeah. Or Sexin.
Their first sex time.
Mm-hmm.
First sexy time.
Wasn't she like not super happy about that?
Didn't she
After
like,
it.
ditch Barb to go fucking?
Yeah.
That's true.
And then Barb got murked.
But yeah, or maybe he'll kiss her. I feel like that's good now. I like that.
I'm just like, I'm always so, like you were saying, nervous about the inevitable drama when Jonathan gets back to the group and sees whatever is going on between the two of them, and then whatever is happening between Will and Mike and Eleven. I'm just like, it makes me nervous because I love the characters. I don't want to see any of them unhappy.
Yeah, and I like our core group. I mean, obviously, it's expanding, which I've been okay with. I like the new additions this season, but I don't want
I think
it
Eddie
to start
is
disbanding.
I think Eddie's a great addition. I think he's going to die.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I do like him.
Oh, but kill somebody else.
So let's do our usual theories on what do you think might happen next, which you've kind of delved into what you think. There's going to be a government chasing them to Hawkins, which I think is totally valid and probably exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, because they've been torturing that dude.
Yeah. Have your thoughts on who may die by the end of this season changed? My current theories are they keep every episode reminding us that Max still has to constantly listen to Running Up That Hill. I think something's going to happen where she doesn't get to listen to the music and she gets got. I'm starting to get worried about Max maybe not making it through the season. Eddie, I think, is going to probably go. And the only reason I say that is because I know people fucking love his character.
But
and it
we
makes
don't
me
know that
nervous
he
that
has
he's
any
going to
guilt.
go.
Right? We're not led
Well,
to
maybe
believe
over
that.
Chrissy.
He's been party
Oh.
to everything that's happened
That's true.
so far this fucking season.
Yeah, he double guilts people. The double guilt.
And I could see us getting a big upset with Steve, but I think he's too much of a great character for them to waste him by killing him.
I would love him to do it, though.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be
it'd
such a
heartbreaking.
punch in the throat, dude. Whoo! I'd cry.
Yeah.
I think that we're also going to get some fucking rabble from the town.
Yeah.
Because they didn't touch that at all this episode, right? That was the last
Yeah,
one?
they'll probably form into some sort of mob, you know?
Yeah, we
Evil
just got
dies
the
tonight.
we literally just got the cops this time around. So
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's going to at least come to a head. And it went the direction that I didn't want it to go, where he saw something bad happen and still blamed it on Eddie instead of being like, oh shit, this is what happened and you're a victim too.
Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Eddie's not going to get Vecna'd. I think Eddie's going to get crowded.
Okay. So he still die though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, murdered by the townspeople. Oh, that's so much more tragic.
And brutal.
And brutal.
I think it's possible.
Damn, I think you're onto something. That's sad.
I think I would like, I don't know, I feel like they could kill Lucas just because I don't feel like his character has done a ton in this season.
I just don't see that. I don't
Here
see
and
them,
there.
I don't see them breaking up
I
any
know,
of the actual
but
real.
I want him
core
to.
four.
I mean, like, let's do it.
Yeah. I am.
Maybe Jonathan, so that the love with Nancy and Steve is fine.
I think that there's a possibility that it will either be Jonathan or Steve.
I just feel like
won't
they
be
haven't
both.
done anything with Jonathan either this season, so killing him would feel like a waste.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be one of the more built up characters, but
maybe nobody.
Maybe nobody. I will say that I thought that the reunion between Joyce and Hopper was very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I was emotional when it happened. No, just fucking go home and get back with the rest of the group. Joyce has had basically, I mean, she's done stuff, but really there's been nothing interesting with her character really throughout this entire season, as much as it was in the first couple seasons where she's like doing all the fucking puzzle shit and everything. But
She's
yeah. But yeah, other than that, I am excited to see what the finale brings. Oh, something that they mentioned in this episode, so I was curious to hear you guys' opinion. Do you think that Vecna is going to be the big bad for like the rest of Stranger Things? Because they set up in this that he's more of like a general for the big smoke monster, meat monster guy, whatever they call him, the Mind Flayer.
Yes.
I thought the Mind Flayer was gone, but apparently the idea is that the Mind Flayer is still in the Upside Down and ready to come back for like another round, and is using Vecna to like
open portals
and make that easier to happen.
Gates, if you will.
I think there's a possibility that we get a Vecna is Kylo Ren and
good comparison.
And the Mind Flayer is Snoke. And I think Snoke is going to be the red herring, as he is in the Star Wars franchise. I think that Vecna is going to basically do a hostile takeover, and then.
Oh, so is it going to turn out the Mind Flayer is like a manufactured clone for the real villain?
Yeah, no, none of that. None of those parts.
I don't know. I like that we have a new villain. To me, until we got that information, I thought Vecna was the one controlling everything, and the Mind Flayer was working for him to some extent. Because in his lair, he does seem like the fucking king of the castle.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was going to be the case. So maybe now that the Mind Flayer is gone, he's number one.
Number one, number two.
And just last thing, I did like the sequence of him getting thrown into the whether it was the Upside Down or whatever it was, and getting struck by the lightning and starting to like transform. And I like the idea of like this, because we know like a normal human in the Upside Down probably couldn't last very long, but send this like super powerful psychic kid into the Upside Down, and he just builds like a fucking like empire for himself in the Upside Down.
The only part I didn't like is the zoom in. Like, oh, it's number one. I was like, yeah, we got it.
Got
you
it
just
when
showed
you,
us.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, who's that for? Who is not paying attention for that 2 seconds?
I don't know. There are some children that watch this show, which at this point I think is probably a bad call.
Player moves.
Yeah.
I'm for it.
I think he had a glow up into Vecna, honestly.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. What are we talking about next week?
We're
going to talk about Stranger Things.
Stranger
Season 4, Episode 8. This is the first episode of Part 2, because we just now finished Part 1. And so we got 2 more episodes left. Still breaking that binge.
Some trivia.
Yeah,
correct.
And then we are talking about Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and Bong Joon-ho's The Host.
I'm so excited for you guys to watch The Host.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of these movies, so I'm very excited for both. Doing some sea monsters, which are some of my favorites.
And don't accidentally watch The Host that's based off of the Stephanie Meyer's book.
Yeah, but don't actually accidentally watch Hosts.
Good movie.
Yeah, but also don't accidentally watch Host, the Zoom seance movie. Yeah.
Don't get fucked up.
Don't get twisted.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked it out, we have a bonus episode over on Patreon where we talk about the Umbrella Academy. We're doing that whole series over there, or this season anyway, and that's out now. So you can check that out if you haven't already. It's just a little bit of money. $5, right?
Yep.
$5.
$5.
And that's going to wrap it up, right? Yeah, we're good. We had a great time. Thank you so much for watching and or listening.
Thanks
we appreciate
a million.
You. I have been Counselor Tone.
I've been Counselor John.
And I've been Counselor #1 /Vecna /Henry Creel /Internet Darling /Anthony /See you later, motherfucker.
Thanks.
Keep it campy.
Exclusive episodes, early access, merch, and to support the show, head over to patreon.com /Porcelain Peak.
Thanks to all our patrons for the support, and special thanks to producers Chuck, Rob, Ashley, and Michael.
You can find Porcelain Peak on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn.
Wherever you listen, don't forget to rate, review, share, and subscribe so you never miss a thrilling episode.
Special thanks to Roger Jackson for introducing the show, and to Jeff For Real for composing the Porcelain Peak opening and closing song.
All content and episodes are written, produced, designed, and edited by the Porcelain Peak team, consisting of Anthony Perez, John Brasher, and Anthony Silva.
This has been here words for weirdness production.